All right, it's the Outlaw Radio Network. Happy September, everybody. I believe it's the 8th of September. So we're already 9 months into the year for 2013. K-Dog, the loose cannon, St. Paul, the voice of reason, is not to my right. I have a real, tangible, intelligent co-host for a few minutes until Paul gets here. And we'll introduce him in just a couple of moments. But thanks for checking out the Outlaw Radio Network. For the next 4 hours, we're going to bedazzle you with intelligent conversation and discussion and debate. Coming up later in tonight's show, we are going to discuss Syria. It's the pressing matter that is on everybody's minds. What are we going to do? What's Congress going to do this week? Are they going to give Obama basically a vote of confidence to go into Syria? How are they going to handle that? We'll talk about a discussion we had on the Outlaw Facebook page earlier this week in regards to that bakery in Oregon that shut down because of the gay marriage laws down there. We'll talk about that. There's a whole bunch of other stuff going on as well, so I thank you for checking out the show. Last call starts at 10, and phone lines are open for you as well. But joining me to my right is the one and only Dave Raymond. And Dave, talk right on that microphone. We are a high-tech organization here.
How's that?
Good. And Caleb, if we can get Dave's mic up just a little bit. If they were paying attention to me, they would have heard me say that.
Think they're paying attention?
I'm going to throw it. Will you have him turn his mic up? Thank you. All right, so joining us is Dave Raymond with the Kitsap 9/11 Memorial Committee. Is that the official title? Is that
Kitsap 9/11 Memorial Project
okay.
is the committee's name, and then we are the committee of.
And you're one of the members that have been with this. You've been with it from the inception, from the beginning,
from day one, meeting one.
So you guys are going to be unveiling the dedication, the ceremony to show the completed memorial project will be taking place on Wednesday.
Correct.
And we'll talk about that more in a moment. Talk about this though, before we get into that, just really quick, from a guy who's been with us from the beginning, and Chief Lusk is another one that's been doing this from the beginning. Talk about for you the seeing this thing go from kind of a pie in the sky idea of maybe, God, this would be cool if we can get this in our backyard to, we're a couple days away from having a really cool memorial that will make sure that we don't forget here at home what happened on the other side of the country. Yeah,
it's been an overwhelming journey from day one. We started in October of 2009, and we brought the steel beams in August of 2010. And as many people know, that is a long time, but we've been doing the fundraising and making the plan come together, and that's where we're at now. We are, like you said, 3 days away, Wednesday, from the ceremony and the dedication. We have the two steel beams; they've been erected at the park. The Pentagon stone is in place. We have so much detail to the memorial that you almost have to go down there to really understand it, see it, visualize it, and have it explained to you, because it'd be hard without you actually seeing it for me to explain the memorial itself.
There were moments in this process, as somebody who's been I've been at a lot of the events and been able to watch from the outside, kind of looking in, but there's been several times at this where I just in awe at the community and how the communities come together. I remember when the beams first came in at the mall parking lot, and when because I was there early, just kind of watching, and when I turned around and looked back towards the mall from that back corner, and you saw people stretched so far back from that stage. Were there ever moments in this that you thought, this is so much more than we ever could have imagined as far as support from the community?
Well, I knew the community would support it from the get-go. I mean, we're a very patriotic community, military background, with this area. It goes without saying that we've had so much support. But yes, that day, August 22nd, 2010, to be exact, when we rolled in with just shy of 800 motorcycles, and there was probably another, 800 or 900 people there to welcome us. Yeah. And then people gathered to, obviously they was like, hey, what's going on? So then they showed up. Yeah, it was, every time we moved the beams around into the public for the events that we were invited to, we've just had an overwhelming response from the community. And to see the people's reactions, the emotional reactions that come with it when they touch and look and understand what the significance of what they represent. It's just been amazing.
It's a very cool part of this memorial too, is the ability to touch the beams, to have a physical connection to the beams, and actually just in reverence of what's happened. I think that's a very cool thing that you guys put into this, is that they're not up high where you're just going to be in awe of it. You actually have that ability to interact and to touch it and interface with it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that don't understand the concept behind that, but the people that do show up and they feel the emotions, it's amazing. And for me to have seen it every single time we've moved the beams out into the public, it solidifies why we're doing it. And for all the right reasons. You can't paint the picture. You have to see it and feel it for yourself. But to see, whether it's one person or 800 people, they just, the emotions are there.
And then there was a ceremony, I believe it was last month, where the beams came in for the last time. It was kind of the arrival of the beams to the final spot before they were going to be built into the part of that into the memorial. And again, just a huge outpouring of support. Both the number of bikes. My house is on 11th, and even though I was at the event, my kids were in the front yard watching as bike after bike after bike, and cars and emergency vehicles. I mean, talk about the support of the biker community. I mean, that biker community has really rallied behind this project. You guys have really gotten a huge amount of support behind those guys on those motorbikes.
Yeah, it's just amazing. The motorcycle community, the biker world, is once again, just like the rest of this community, is a very patriotic community, group of people. And like you said, that day, August 22nd, we rolled in with just under 800 motorcycles, and every single time we moved the beams, there was always a motorcycle escort. Even when we would move it from one storage facility to another storage facility, we'd have anywhere from a half a dozen to a dozen or 60 or whatever. We did a lot of maintenance on the beams to prep them for the build, and we brought them out to Bates Technical College in Tacoma, and they were out there for a month. The iron workers class out at Bates Tech, they were very involved in prepping the beams for the memorial. And just bringing it out to Tacoma, we had 60 or 70 motorcycles, and it just via text and email and Facebook, you mentioned it, which we wanted to keep it under the radar just because we weren't putting them on display. So I told Bill told Brian, and Brian told Greg, and boom, here you go. We have 60 bikes, transporting it, escorting it out there. And it's just a show of respect for what we actually have, what they symbolize. And
again, let's not lose the fact that these beams have been escorted everywhere since they left New York, right? I mean, from the trip across the country up until they made that final trip to Evergreen Park. They've been escorted by somebody the whole time. And talk about your volunteers too, because you guys have had night watch out there. You've had people guarding the beams 24/7 to make sure that everything's cool, that nobody's got any crazy ideas to go out there and mess with anything. The amount of volunteers that have been a part of this project has been just amazing.
Oh yeah. I mean, from the committee to the volunteers that show up to help escort or help do the security watch, like you mentioned. Yeah, July 28th was the day that we brought the beams to the park. We had it prearranged that we would have 24-hour security there, not just for the beams, but for the construction material. I mean, it's a site.
Sure.
You're going to have a major construction site. You want to have people there, but it hasn't been a problem to get people. We had a thank you party. Barbecue during a work party. We had a work party yesterday and a thank you barbecue during that. I think there was 50 people that showed up with rakes, shovels, and gloves to help. So you put out an APB and the community supports it. But the overnight watch, actually, for those that have been following it closely, we had to extend it simply because we had some weather delays, and then there was some material construction delays that go along with any construction project. So as we progressed and the date changed, hey, we need to extend it through this date, it hasn't been a problem. I mean, the volunteers it's amazing. I just love this community.
Can we talk about one thing, too, that I think is really important? Everybody will talk about, okay, why are we building this? We're in an economic crunch in the city and all this kind of stuff. I always think it's really important to point out that this is not a publicly funded through taxpayer dollar memorial, right? This is all stuff that's been done through fundraisers and businesses coming together and help and people giving out of their pocket. This isn't, nobody went to the city and said, hey, can you give us X amount of money? This was from private donations and people in our community that gave to make this project happen.
Yeah, this is the epitome of a grassroots fundraiser event right here. Everything from, a $3 window cling to a $250 brick sponsor brick donation. It's been the community that's been doing that. Yesterday we had a little, in addition to that work party, we tied in with another motorcycle rally that was going on in Renton. Downtown Harley-Davidson in Renton. We went. Some of us went there. We had a small booth and some merchandise, and just people coming up, buying a coin, a patch, whatever. $3 here, $5 there, $10 there. We made over $300 yesterday in Renton because they strongly believe in what we're doing as well. I didn't have to market. I didn't have to go out there and try to used car sells it. I just sat there, they walked up, they asked questions, and boom, they wanted to be involved. So, like I said, it's as grassroots as you can get. Plus, there has been some major contributors. We don't want to, overlook that fact.
Sure.
As well as the labor, material, the different things. The union laborers really stepped up. Once again, the Bates Iron Workers class, the welders, cement masons, the finishers, the laborers, the electricians. I mean, I could go on, but their professional expertise being volunteered, donated in kind, as well as they have not just labor, they have donated monetarily as well to help cover some of the materials, whether it's money or the actual materials themselves. And we absolutely could not have had this built by this week without the union laborers. And
then a bit of I don't know if a save is the right word, but a bit of a save from the city of Bremerton, because there was some discussion about where to put it, where are we going to have it. There was some discussion initially because Chief Lusk was with Central Kitsap, so there were discussions about maybe putting it within out towards Silverdale or that area. And listen, with all respect to Silverdale, I think that it's found the perfect home with where it's going to be out at Evergreen and the city of Bremerton coming through. Talk about what happened earlier this week as well with the Mayor Patty Lent and just the process of where the home is for this amazing ceremony and dedication.
Well, yeah, the location. If you haven't been there, please go down there and just look at the location. That alone is a perfect setting for any memorial. And then this memorial, obviously, it has the somberness to it. So it's tucked away in the corner on the hill, overlooking the water. You got the tranquil sounds of the wind blowing through the trees, and you have the Olympic Mountains. You can overlook the park. It's very, very a tranquil setting. The city of Bremerton has been so supportive. I mean, you can't say anything bad. The mayor, the city council, the city parks commission, the citizen advisory commission, they've just been behind us. I 100%. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, there's been a couple questions here and there, but that's how you keep track to make sure it's done the right way. There was never, ever, from the get-go, has this thing been rubber stamped through.
Sure.
It was discussed, went to committee, and so on. Even within our own committee, we never really rubber stamped anything. Everything was discussed, and just to make sure that we're doing it the right way, and the subcommittees and whatnot. But I'll tell you real quick, about how it was going to go to Silverdale originally. That was the idea. That was the plan. And that changes come. You have to adapt, and that's fine. Knowing, Kevin, you know me, that you've been involved with the 9/11 ceremonies prior to the 9/11 memorial even coming into play. In the year that I moved it to Evergreen Park, I believe was 2007, the ceremony itself. And I said, this should be a place where we have a September 11th memorial built. But at that point, I was like, wow, I mean, that would be way over my head. I mean, I can do fundraisers, I can do all kinds of fun stuff, but that would have been taken on a whole new level for me as a volunteer organizer. And I said, someday there should be a memorial built here for September 11th. And then I got the phone call in 2009 to join the committee, and jumped on board, and I just sat there and absorbed what was going on. Went along with their plan, because their plan was to have it in Silverdale. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, yeah, I can help do that. And at no point did I ever say it should be at Evergreen Park. It just happened one day. I mean, the mayor jumped on board, and as soon as the Port of Silverdale did their vote, they said no, so be it. Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on. We had the Mayor Patty Lant was knocking on our door, and she was ready to go. And she was there in Silverdale. She welcomed us when we arrived in 2010. And by the way, she also did ride with us. Her and her husband rode in the procession on July 28th. So
I'll be honest, too. I was one of the guys that when I heard, okay, we're going to put it in the far corner away from the rest of the park, I was hesitant at first because I thought, well, boy, that's kind of in the far corner and there's nothing really over there. It seems like we're tucking it away. And when I was there for the ceremony that was last month and I got over there, my mind completely changed because it makes perfect sense. It's not so far away from the park that it loses that it's part of that park, but it's far enough away that it like you talked about earlier, it gives you the ability to be away from the rest of the park enough that you can have the reverence, have the reflection. You've got the water. I'm not sure what direction that would be. I guess it's probably north.
Yes.
Maybe on the north end. I think it's the perfect spot for it. And then the mayor had a couple words to say about the project on Wednesday at the council meeting. Correct?
Yeah. She did a mayoral proclamation of support. I don't have the verbiage here with me, but basically it reinforced the national symbolism of September 11th. She recognized September 11th, obviously, for what it is. It's a day of remembrance and reflection and patriotism, as well as she declared it the official day of the dedication of the memorial itself, in addition to the ceremony. And that's important that everybody understands that we're still focusing on the September 11th ceremony as well, and the significance of what September 11th happened in 2001, but the dedication is also going to be a part of it. So it's kind of two events in one.
Fair enough. So let's talk about the events of what's going to be going on Wednesday. So we know that the event itself is going to start off at 6 p.m. Although I would assume that people will be able to get there before then if they want to spend time in reflection around the memorial. Talk about what the plan is for Wednesday.
Well, it'll officially be open to the public immediately following the ceremony.
Okay.
If people come down, we're not going to tell them they can't go up to the beams. I mean, that just goes without saying. Right now, because it's a construction site, you can't really go up to it. It's
right.
It's not safe. We don't have any official rules that say you can't. It's just fenced off. There's some unsafe. There's been a lot of work done. But we've been escorting people up there that wanted to see it. If they showed up, we had some people come in from out of state, New Jersey, New York. They had to come see it. They wanted to come see it. You have to walk them up there.
Sure, yeah.
And that's one of the ideas behind having, we called it a security watch, but it was more or less just people being there, so there was always somebody on site.
Hey, Strip, hold off on the break for about 2 minutes. Will you for me, please? I'm sorry. I want to give Dave a chance to wrap this before we go to break. Okay, so people get there before during the day, they'll have the opportunity, but the actual ceremony itself is going to kick off at 6?
Yep, 6 p.m. We ask people to get there early to find parking because it's on-street parking, and it's pretty tight down there, especially with Pacific Avenue being closed.
Yeah.
Parking is limited. You might have to walk down. We do have the parking pad right there. And the location, just so people understand exactly where it's at, the address is 1300 Highland Avenue, but the best way to access it normally would be just to come through the park off of Park Avenue and then circle around to the right to the where Pacific Avenue's north end ends. There's a parking lot right there. And we're going to have that set aside for elderly and disabled parking, so that way they can park as close as they can. So we're asking, if people might have to walk, so
Sure.
just on-street parking, park legally. but we'll be there early. If anybody wants to come help us set up, we'll be there at 1:00. Set up, chairs, tables, and this and that. I think we have it covered, but we'll take anybody that would be willing to come help.
Sure.
So, but it's going to be a special ceremony just because the memorial and the plan. I mean, I'm visualizing the plan as I'm speaking here, how it's going to have the ebb and the flow of it. It's going to be something to witness. So.
And listen, as a guy, you never do this for this, but I have to say it every time I have the opportunity to say this. As somebody who's known you for, God, probably 15 years now.
Yeah.
Every time there's a cause for you to get behind where you can help other people, Dave Raymond is always out there, whether it's the Pediatric Week in Harrison, or it's doing stuff with the American Cancer Society, or it's doing this, or doing, even before this, as you mentioned, the 9/11 memorial ceremonies that you were doing before. So as a guy that lives here and knows you personally, thanks, man.
Hey.
I mean, it's.
Well, I appreciate your support.
You show what one guy can do in his community, and it's cool to see. I think the rest of us can take lessons.
I appreciate that.
So thanks, man.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so again, Evergreen Park, again, come in off of Park if you're going to, and circle all the way to the right. There's a lot of extra parking on 11th because of the construction that they've been doing, so they added all that parking on the sides where they went down to one lane, so you can park on 11th and walk down if you want to enjoy it. The weather's supposed to be gorgeous on Wednesday, so should be a great day for a walk, man. It's supposed to be in the upper 80s, so get yourself a couple water bottles and park on 11th. Enjoy the extra free parking in downtown Bremerton, and walk on down.
Yeah, and we encourage people to bring their camp chair, blanket, sit on the grass. We're going to have a few hundred chairs, but we have no idea how many people are going to show up.
You're going to get a throng, dude.
So
you're going to get a bunch of people.
Let's get
I think
1,000 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think easy, man. I'd like to see twice that.
I would too.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, so Dave Raymond, you'll see him, and you'll see a whole bunch of other people down there as well. Again, Chief Lusk will be down there. I'm sure the mayor and the city council members will be down there as well. All the volunteers, they're really the ones that I think are going to deserve a pat on the back and a congratulations and a thank you, because they're the ones that have all helped to get this where it is now. Especially, again, Chief Lusk and a lot of the hard work that he and his people did to even secure the beams and get it over here. Are the truck driver people going to make it to this?
Actually, yes. The local truck when we moved it around here, they were out of Randall, Washington here. The owners, they're going to be here. They sold the truck, so the new owners who've been driving it the last year, they're going to be here, and the Lee and Donna Summer, the drivers of R&R Transportation that brought it across the country, they're actually going to be here too.
And we talk about the truck. We're talking about the different people that have transported the beams. If you haven't seen the beams, they're massive. They're huge. You've got to have a long flatbed trailer to haul those things around. So
wait till you see them when they're standing straight up.
Oh
man, it's unbelievable.
Pretty epic.
Yeah.
I haven't gone back to Evergreen since the ceremony last month specifically, because I wanted to wait until it was done. I want to get to the park and see it, and just kind of see it and be in awe. So, all right. So Dave Raymond, again, see him and everybody else at the ceremony on Wednesday, starting off at 6:00. Get there early, bring your chairs, bring your stuff, park early, walk down, and then save yourself some time afterwards. Spend some time.
Yes.
And Dave, thanks for coming in, man. We appreciate it. You're welcome anytime.
Thank you, sir.
All right. So we'll take a break. When we come back out of the break, we'll rotate a fine, competent co-host like Dave, and we'll switch him out for my average run-of-the-mill co-host in St. Paul, the voice of reason, as he nods for me from the other side of the glass. But stick around. It's the Outlaw Radio Network. K-Dog, the Loose Cannon, St. Paul will join us shortly. Thanks again to Dave Raymond for stopping in. We'll be back after this on EdgeMediaSource.com.
The Outlaw Radio Network. Hey, St. Paul, the voice of reason here. Wanted to send a quick shout out to our friends at Pacific Northwest Artisans. They're a custom concrete and design fabrication company. They can do all of your concrete needs. They can do pathways, walkways, driveways, you name it. You need a new foundation, you're going to do an add-on, give them a call, 731-9812 or 649-0987. Again, that's 731-9812 or 649-0987. Pacific Northwest Artisans, all of your concrete needs.
As Kitsap County's largest maintenance provider, Team Innovative in Paulsbo provides commercial and residential maintenance to hundreds of millions of dollars of local real estate. With services including parking lot maintenance and street cleaning to landscape and design, Team Innovative is committed to using a green approach and following a strong environmental conscience. Team Innovative Services, 697-6858, or visit them online at getinnovative.net. Team Innovative Services, get serious, get innovative.
Make a difference in your community and volunteer at Kitsap Humane Society. We have opportunities for everyone and need help in all areas of the shelter. You can clean, feed, and help socialize animals, or answer phones, greet customers, and help run special events and fundraisers. KHS volunteers also lead programs including our foster program, canine training, and animal-assisted therapy. If you are interested in volunteering at Kitsap Humane Society, visit our website at kitsap-humane.org.
The Legacy Group in Silverdale is a well-respected independent mortgage banker, absolutely committed to helping Kitsap County families on their path to home ownership. As an employee-owned company, the Legacy Group has a strong stake in your success, and they want to be your lifetime partner in helping you develop a strong real estate portfolio. Call the Legacy Group in Silverdale today at 698-6440 and find out how they can help you get started on the road to home ownership. 698-6440 for the Legacy Group, a lending experience that's a little different and a lot smarter.
Hi, this is Stephen Gardner from the Kitsap Sun. There are 3 things we try to do on the Kitsap Caucus blog. Give you more about the story that didn't fit in the regular piece. Give you the story behind the story. We also try to draw attention to other news you might have missed. And sometimes, I like to poke fun at Port Orchard. Read the Kitsap Caucus blog at thekitsapsun.com.
As Kitsap County's largest maintenance provider, Team Innovative in Paulsbo provides commercial and residential maintenance to hundreds of millions of dollars of local real estate. With services including parking lot maintenance and street cleaning to landscape and design, Team Innovative is committed to using a green approach and following a strong environmental conscience. Team Innovative Services, 697-6858, or visit them online at getinnovative.net. Team Innovative Services, get serious, get innovative.
I love it when Strip is running the boards.
I just can't find it in my heart to give him grief about anything right now, that's all.
I know, I love this song, man.
I hate this song. Nice to see you, Strip. I completely hate this song.
This song is awesome.
Fight 'em all. A 7-nation army couldn't hold me.
Starbucks double shot energy. You know, we
How
should
can
get
you
them
drink
to-
that stuff, man? I don't know how you can drink that. K-Dog Blues can.
You know, I shouldn't.
Reason.
I shouldn't, but you know, I if I don't, I'll be asleep by the beginning of the 4th hour. So
Perfect.
Anyway.
Hey, anyway, as we talked about, coming up later in the show, we're going to talk about Syria. There's so many wrinkles to Syria.
we're going
to spend a long time.
We're going to get Syria.
Serious, yeah. And then at 9 o'clock, did you hear who our guest picker this week is going to be? For our NFL picks?
Some sports guy from the Kitsap Sun.
Yeah, Nathan Joyce, editor of the Kitsap
There
Sun,
you
sports editor of the Kitsap Sun, is going to join us in the 9 o'clock hour and do picks. My goal is to have a different guest picker with us every single week. Last week we had the guys from Endgame. This week we have Nathan Joyce, sports editor of the Kitsap Sun. He'll join us by phone. Don Manning has committed to come on and do sports picks one week.
Excellent.
So I'm going to try to get Patty Lent to come on and do it. We'll try. We'll give Todd Best the same opportunity. I think
we should send an invite out to Mindy Byers and ask her to be a guest picker.
Yeah, great plan. Great plan. We'll see if she actually shows up to that. All right. So anyway, we're gonna hold the Syria conversation until 8 o'clock because I want to be able to spend an entire hour in regards to Syria. But I do have a topic I want to bring up here in the first hour. Now that you're here, because this is something that I actually posted on the Outlaw Radio Network page, and it had a great conversation with Don Mannon, and I went rounds, and then actually. Because after I posted on the Outlaw page, and then I refeed on my page because I think it's a great conversation, and I'm trying to get people to go to the Outlaw page and comment on it, but then they ended up commenting on mine.
Right, sure.
So we had a great argument about this on my Facebook page.
Yes, go ahead. I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm totally going into this blind, so
Go
hit me with it.
So like every other conversation I bring up on the show. So here's the deal.
Wow.
In Oregon, they've also passed a gay marriage law. But the Oregon gay marriage law is far more specific and regulatory than the Washington gay marriage law. And in Oregon, the gay marriage law in Oregon basically says you have to, as a business, provide services to everyone. Okay, so even if you are a business and you are, well, let me read you the story. This is off of mynorthwest.com from earlier this week. It was posted on September 3rd, and I'm just going to read this to you, and then I want to discuss this with you, Paul. A Portland area bakery that came under fire for refusing to provide a cake for a same-sex wedding is waving the white flag. Sweet Cakes by Melissa closed its doors in Gresham, and the owners are moving it back into their home where it started. Aaron and Melissa Klein said their business is down more than 50%. They are tired of being targeted by gay rights activists. Quote, there's a lot of closed-minded people out there, said Aaron Klein. They like to pretend to be very tolerant and just want equal rights, but on the other hand, they've been very, very mean-spirited. They've been militant. That's the best way I can describe it, is they've used mafia tactics against the business. According to the clients, activists have been targeting their vendors and customers, telling them to avoid sweet cakes or face being shut down. Now, the Washington law isn't that specific.
Right.
It doesn't require that. And I've always grown up under the belief that you have the right to refuse service to anyone. We always see that sign behind the counter that you can refuse service to anyone. But in this Oregon situation, the law in Oregon basically says you're a business, you must follow suit or you can be sued. Now, to the best of my knowledge, the cake people weren't sued, but they were open up to a lawsuit if they had been. The conversation that Don Mannon and I got into, and I don't know where you stand with this, Paul, but I actually believe that it's a business's right to choose who they do or don't service as a business.
Right.
And I actually said, listen, and I this happened 10 years ago when Denny's got in trouble for having some policies that were deemed to be racist.
Right.
If Denny's doesn't want to serve blacks, then let them not serve blacks. Let them be upfront about it. Let them be honest about it. And then let them live with the repercussions.
The consequences, absolutely.
Yeah, let the business, let the marketplace decide. Now, if you want to put a sign up that says whites only and that's how you want to do business, then you live with the repercussions of that, which is you're going to go out of business and people aren't going to shop there and vendors aren't going to want to do business with you because they think that you're repugnant and you're repulsive and your business model stinks.
Yeah.
But you have the right to do that. Now, Don Manning doesn't agree. He thinks that there should be laws in place that require you to do business with everybody regardless. I think it's a stupid law because you can force them to do it, but you can't force them to like it or to treat people with respect. So if I don't want to do service with a gay couple and they come in, I'm going to make them a half-ass cake that tastes like sawdust, and I'm not going to put my whole effort into it. What's the point? Why not just put a sign up front that says, I don't want to serve gay couples?
I would then... Listen, I understand where people, where folks in the camp of Don are coming from. I do understand that thought process, but it's completely wrong in this country to do that. And here's why. Because where do you stop and where do you draw the line at regulating what people can and cannot do? Are you next going to regulate? Because, and let's, now you may take, I hope nobody takes offense to this, but I am going to use this example because I think it really drives home the point. Because frequently we see a situation where you have group homes for sexual offenders set up, and the people in the neighborhood run them out. They don't like them. They don't like the idea of them being there. And, you know, I would see it as a double standard. For somebody in Don's camp, for example. I'm not saying Don. Don is a reasonable person.
Yeah.
Except on social issues. And I'm kidding, Don. I'm just kidding. But So where do you how far do you take this legislation? Because if you're going to go and you're going to say that this store owner has to serve a couple that maybe does something that he's morally objection. I mean, he just completely objects, his body and soul. Maybe it's his religious beliefs. For whatever reason, he objects to it.
Right.
Okay. But what you're doing is, and I believe if I remember this story correctly, the folks that own this bakery were devout Christians of one order or another, and it was completely against their religion. Taught them that homosexuality was
wrong.
Was wrong.
Yeah.
Now, so what you've done is you've regulated their religion. You've regulated what they can and cannot do as it regard. So, are you going to tell Muslims that they have to eat pork? Are you going to tell a Muslim own? And there's a great example of this in Purdy, Washington, out here, where there's a gas station, beautiful little gas station, great couple that runs it. Well, they're Muslim, but they don't serve beer or pork products in there. So, for example, you can't go in and get pork jerky, or you can't go in and get Oh Boy Alberto products,
pork rinds, or
any of that stuff.
Sure, okay.
And you can't go in there and buy a beer. Okay, are you going to regulate that they have to then sell that stuff? I would submit to you, no way. Don Manning and the people in that camp would say, no, you can't do that. That's not right. You can't legislate that. Well, but that is what you're doing. That is what you're doing. Are you going to legislate that the people in the small communities where the sex offenders want to move in and have a house?
I don't know. I don't know if that argument is the same though, because you're not saying that, because one is somebody offering a product but refusing to sell it to certain people, and the other one is somebody just refusing to sell a product. And so I mean, I understand where you're coming from, and I agree with you. But
that's why I'm making. Kevin, you're making my point for me. My point is, how far do you take the legislation? Sure. You can't regulate this stuff, because at some point you got to put your foot down and say, no, that's going too far. Well, this is going too far in my mind. You cannot regulate what somebody is or who they're going to treat as a customer or not. As you said, you made the right argument. If a person wants to say, I only serve blacks or I only serve whites, listen, there are colleges that regulate that limit their enrollment to African American students, don't they?
Yeah.
There's colleges that regulate their to Native Americans.
Yeah.
On the reservation. So, and listen, you don't hear people like me complaining about that, but I will tell you, it is a double standard, because you don't see a college out there that says, sorry, whites only.
Sure.
Because every college knows that would be financial suicide.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with a business. You choose to serve them or not serve them, but whatever you're going to do, make your views known publicly, and then you deal with the consequences.
Exactly. I would be in favor of a business having in its window, in public view, on its website, in public view, a statement of who they serve. A mission statement, a statement of who they serve.
Well, that's still going a little far, don't you think?
No, because if you want the ability to say, if you want to have the ability to, and I don't mean this in a derogatory term, but it'll come out that way.
Mm-hmm.
If you want the ability to discriminate against a certain group of people because you don't agree with their lifestyle or their religious choice or whatever it is, then claim that publicly so that people know that before they go in there. Okay, so if you want to say we don't, if you're a strict Christian or business, if you're owned by a family that's strict Christian that doesn't agree with gay marriage, more power to you. I disagree with you, but more power to you. Then you should make it clear before anybody goes in there. We will not provide our services to gay couples that want to get married, because I think it should be in clear view so that a gay couple doesn't go in there and have to be embarrassed when they come in to shop in your business and you tell them no, get out. You know, I mean, if you want to go that track, then you have to have a way of letting people know that that they're not welcome in your business, and then live with the repercussions of that. Now, if the vendors don't want to do business with you because of that, that's a repercussion of your action. If other customers don't want to do business with you because they support gay rights and they don't want to patronize your business, that's a repercussion of your action. You go out of business because people find that your policies are hateful or putrid or whatever, that's a repercussion of your actions. It's not mafia. It's.
I guess I'm just saying. You're right on everything except the idea of them having to post their feelings or beliefs. So, you're gonna make Jews next post a little star on the window of their business. You make them wear a little armband. I'm not. That's a rhetorical question.
But don't you think that if businesses are going to say we don't want to serve a specific type of people in here, that the people should be told before they go in there that they're not going to be served when they go in there?
I've gone in to see a lawyer and had a lawyer tell me that because of what I was coming in to see him about, he wasn't going to take my case. So no, you. Why shouldn't you have the right to decide whenever you want, who you're going to do business with and who you're not? What business is it of the states or Don Manning or anybody else to tell you who you can and cannot do business with? It's none of their business.
Well,
Nobody has the right to tell me who I will and will not interview on this show. Nobody has the right to tell me.
Except me, but
Nobody has the right to tell me that if I'm sitting here talking about things from a conservative point of view, that I've got to have Alan Combs sitting next to me. No,
Sure.
you know what I mean? Nobody. I'm not going to let people do that. Listen, you have the right to your opinion. You have the right to freedom of speech. You have the right to say whatever you want, do business with whoever you want, and I'd be willing to bet that this law gets appealed in Oregon.
you think so?
I do.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because it completely infringes upon privacy.
I don't think it'll be infringed. I don't think it'll be appealed because I think Oregon's a pretty liberal state.
Sure.
And I think it's a minority of people, a very small minority of people in Oregon that this is even going to impact. And I think they're just going to suck it up and deal with it.
No,
You
but
know
I
what
bet
mean?
you.
I just think that somebody will
im-
suck it up.
But what'll impact the impact it will have is people looking at this going, wait a second, if the state's going to go here, what's next?
Well, yeah, it's possible.
This is not a public health issue, is it? There's no public health involved here. There's no well-being of the social order of the state that's affected here. None of this. None of the reasons that you make a law are involved with this.
Right. Well, but then the other end of this question is I still think you have a responsibility to notify people before they come in that you're not going to serve them.
Well, you notify them when you find out, if it even matters to you. Here's how this works. You're a baker. Somebody comes in and says, hey, I'd like to have you bake a cake for my wedding. Great, no problem. Yeah, this is the statue I'd like put on, and it's two dudes kissing.
Right.
Okay? The baker says, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
You're going to have to go to another baker. Okay? Listen, is
there a business is there anything you wouldn't do as a because you pour concrete.
Mm-hmm.
That's your day job. Mm-hmm. Is there? I was just trying to think about this. Is there something within concrete that you wouldn't do on morally objectionable grounds? Like, would you not?
No,
pour
because I'm
concrete
basically a bastard, and for me, the ultimate revenge is to take your money if I don't like you.
Fair enough.
So, like, if I hate you, I'll just charge you extra.
Let me read this to you too. This is a different argument of the same ilk.
Okay.
If people see where I'm going with this.
Okay.
This is off of CNN.com, and it actually came out earlier today. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna paraphrase part of this. But let me read this to you. The words "Welcome to Leith" are etched on two wooden boards nailed to a pair of poles struck on the grassy North Dakota prairie. With wildflowers immediately to the front, a dirt road yards away, and a few stray buildings and trees in the distance, the signs seem appropriately simple for the tiny town. Yet in the last few weeks, Leith has become anything but simple. Paul Craig Cobb wants to transform the town 70 miles southwest of Bismarck into a community that mirrors his white supremacist views. He did so quietly at first, asking residents whether their land was for sale. But recent reports from the New York Times and the Southern Poverty Law Center exposed his mission and turned it into a national story. Essentially what he's trying to do, Paul, is he wants to buy up all the land in this town and then turn it into Whiteville. Now, again, on a much larger scope than what we're seeing with the business, where do we draw the line on allowing, you know what I mean? So now we're saying, okay, a business can do what a business wants to do under the argument that I think we both agree with. Mm-hmm. But now this guy wants to turn his town into Whitesville, into Honky Land, into Caucasian Americaville, by buying up all the land that he can and letting it mirror his ideological, I don't like black people view, or I don't like Mexican view, or whatever it is. Without getting into a lot of the story, because we don't have time before the top of the hour, with that as a premise, do we step in at some point there and draw a line and say no, now we're going too far, or where do we draw that?
I think that's one that you have to be careful with, but you can't stop him. It all comes down to who wants to live there and who he's willing to buy out. Does that make sense?
Right.
If he's going to go out there and spend the money and literally own the town, and he says, I only want white people to live here, well, he'll attract a few people, but who's going to want to do business in that town?
Yeah.
Very few people.
Yeah, there's a population of 16 people in the town, by the way. We're not talking a metropolis.
So I guess my point is that should he have the right to do it? Yeah, he should have the right to do it, but he also has the right to suffer the consequences that come with it. Now, if he tries to implement laws in his little Whitesville town that are discriminatory, then that's an issue, and that's something that can be taken up by the Department of Justice. We already have laws on the books that take care of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So again, he has the right to do it, but he also has to live with the consequences.
I kind of feel he'd be immensely successful if he did it. No. Well, let me explain why.
Okay.
Because there are white supremacist groups that would love a safe haven. This is a town of 16 people. Mm-hmm. So there's white supremacist groups all over the Midwest and all over, from Idaho to Michigan to, that would love a safe haven. They can find a guy that just bought up the entire town, and they can basically set up shop and have run of the town. It almost reminds me of that Walking Tall movie with The Rock in it. You got the one guy that
was Kitsap County. Be careful.
I know, but you got the one guy that owned the casino that ran everything until somebody finally showed up and did something about it. I mean, I almost think he'd be immensely successful because you'd have some white supremacist base group that would set up shop there and make a whole bunch of money by selling their white supremacist hate stuff, and that would fund the town and fund him and.
Is that illegal?
People would move that,
but it's not illegal.
Black
Panthers do it.
Yeah, I think it would become illegal.
Nation of Islam does it.
I think it'd become illegal at some point because at some point it would have to affect the politics and the police and the enforcement of laws in that town.
But there are laws in place already to prosecute if that occurs. So, listen, I get it. I get not wanting it to happen, but where do you draw the line between living in a free country where there are certain things, It's once you start going down that slope, brother. Once you start going down that slope, after a while, it gets easier and easier to cross that line. After a while, you look back, you can't see where you started crossing it. And we're already there in so many ways in this country because people didn't put their foot down and say something about the encroachment upon freedoms and whatnot. So, again, I think people got to stop trying to. This country is a living, breathing thing. It's a lot like a marriage in that you don't get into it. You don't come into this country with the idea, oh, I'm going to change her into something I want. You know what I mean? It's you can't do that. You can't do that. Now you can affect subtle, gradual little changes from within because you work within the system to affect change for the betterment of everybody. Mm-hmm. But don't give me grief for saying this, but the people that are most synonymous with attempting to institute types of change and make other people think and feel how they do are progressives. It's part of their genre. It's part of their makeup. It's who they are. They believe that we as Americans need to progress to where they're at as far as their thinking goes. Hence the name progressive. And many people, like myself, many other libertarians, believe that there's a huge overreach by that social group in America today. I happen to believe it with the very fiber of my soul because I've looked at the history. I understand the history. I see where they're trying to take us because they tell you where they're trying to take us. And I also see that nothing good in the long run can ever come out of it because, quite frankly, socialism on almost any level has never worked anywhere. Anywhere. So, but then again, I'm somebody who's been around the world, been in the military, owned my own businesses, 5 of them. So I've had the unique opportunity to interact with different types of people from different places.
You have a very unique set of life experience to draw from.
So I think it allows me the opportunity to look at things through a different lens, if you will, versus somebody who maybe graduated from high school, went straight to work in the Longshoremen's Union. Or straight to work at Safeway in the UFCW, or went straight to college and became a teacher, or a doctor or a lawyer or whatever. I do have a lot more worldly experience, and it's amazing how many people I find that are my age or in my age group that look at me and they're like, and I'm just like, what did you think what? Or you just try to explain to them, how different it is in the Middle East from what they see on TV. We need to understand them. no, son, they understand you just fine. And they understand the color red, which is the color your blood will make splattering all over the sidewalk when they're done with you.
Man, we're going to talk about Syria around the break, and I sense Paul and I will spar a tad.
We won't spar
When we get into Syria, but that's going to be next.
You'll hit the ground.
Top of the hour news is next. Trip is running the boards. Thanks, Trip. We're glad that you're here. You look great tonight. Although I don't know why you're going vegan, you dummy.
Outlaw Radio Network.
The Outlaw Radio Network.
In Washington, I'm Windsor Johnston. NAACP President Ben Jealous is stepping down from his position. He announced today that he'll resign at the end of the year. Jealous says he wants to pursue teaching, but more importantly, fulfill a promise he made to his young daughter.
And she just said to me, Daddy, when are you coming back? And I explained the importance of the association, the importance of the civil rights movement, and the work I was doing, and said, baby, look, I need 5 years. But before your 8th birthday, I promise you, you will have your daddy back in the way that you want me back.
The Baltimore-based NAACP is the nation's largest civil rights organization. President Obama and Vice President Joe Biden are courting GOP senators at Biden's mansion tonight ahead of a pivotal vote this week on whether to launch military strikes against Syria for its alleged use of chemical weapons. Tonight's gathering comes as the White House continues to push for congressional and international backing of U.S. military action against Syria. NPR's Nathan Rott reports the administration says it has support from a number of countries, but is looking for more.
As White House officials try to convince the American public and Congress at home, Secretary of State John Kerry met with Arab League leaders in Paris Sunday. Kerry stopped short of saying that the Arab League, which comprises more than 20 countries, would endorse military intervention in Syria, but he did say that they all thought a line had been crossed.
All of us agreed, not one dissenter, that Assad's deplorable use of chemical weapons crosses an international, global red line.
Kerry said that the number of countries ready to take military action are now in the double digits, but he would not specify who those countries were or what type of action that might entail. Nathan Rott, NPR News.
A Sinai militant group has issued an apparent claim of responsibility for a bombing in Cairo on Thursday that left 1 dead and 21 injured. Merritt Kennedy reports the attack was an assassination attempt against the Interior Minister.
Security officials say they are looking into the claim by the militant group known as Ansar Beit al-Maqdis. They're calling this a race against time to arrest the perpetrators of the bombing. The claim of responsibility could not be independently verified. It says the bombing was revenge for the deaths of Islamists at demonstrations over the last 2 months. In an apparent threat, it says that all Muslims should stay away from the Ministry of Interior and Ministry of Defense for their own protection. This comes as the military is expanding its operation in the rest of Sinai Peninsula, after security forces have come under near daily attack by armed militants since Mohamed Morsi was ousted from power in July. There are fears that innocent people are also being swept up in this and other crackdowns under the guise of fighting terrorism. For NPR News, I'm Merritt Kennedy in Cairo.
Serena Williams has won the U.S. Open in New York today. It's her 5th U.S. Open singles title. This is NPR News. Just days after London police arrested 2 men during an attempted burglary at Buckingham Palace, Larry Miller reports Prince Andrew was challenged on the palace grounds by officers who failed to recognize him.
Identify yourself, demanded the armed officers to the Queen's second son as he returned to the palace after a charity event. He has an apartment there. Scotland Yard denies newspaper reports Prince Andrew was ordered to put up his hands and get on the ground, but it has issued an apology for any inconvenience, and is grateful for his understanding. For his part, Andrew says he accepts the apology, pointing out that sometimes police get it wrong. Security was tightened after the break-in Monday night. 1 man was arrested inside the palace, the other waiting outside the fence. It's reported the intention was to steal royal jewels on public display to mark the Queen's 60 years on the throne. For NPR News, I'm Larry Miller in London.
Wrestling will be reinstated for the 2020 Olympics. The International Olympic Committee made the decision today after it named Tokyo the host city on Saturday. NPR's Mike Pesca reports wrestling was vying against two other sports for the bid.
Wrestling won a vote against two rival sports, squash and a baseball-softball combined bid, and as such, wrestling is now back in the Olympics. Wrestling actually never left, but it was told earlier this year that it would not be included in a group of core sports. So it organized on the local level, it organized internationally, and made its presentation before the IOC, and it won.
Wrestling received 49 votes, while a combined baseball-softball bid got 24 and squash 22. This is NPR.
Support for NPR comes from...
Hey, St. Paul, the voice of reason here. Wanted to send a quick shout out to our friends at Pacific Northwest Artisans. They're a custom concrete and design fabrication company. They can do all of your concrete needs. They can do pathways, walkways, driveways, you name it. You need a new foundation, you're going to do an add-on, give them a call, 731-9812 or 649-0987. Again, that's 731-9812 or 649-0987. Pacific Northwest Artisans, all of your concrete needs.
As Kitsap County's largest maintenance provider, Team Innovative in Paulsbo provides commercial and residential maintenance to hundreds of millions of dollars of local real estate. With services including parking lot maintenance and street cleaning to landscape and design, Team Innovative is committed to using a green approach and following a strong environmental conscience. Team Innovative Services, 697-6858, or visit them online at getinnovative.net. Team Innovative Services, get serious, get innovative.
Make a difference in your community and volunteer at Kitsap Humane Society. We have opportunities for everyone and need help in all areas of the shelter. You can clean, feed, and help socialize animals, or answer phones, greet customers, and help run special events and fundraisers. KHS volunteers also lead programs including our foster program, canine training, and animal-assisted therapy. If you are interested in volunteering at Kitsap Humane Society, visit our website at kitsap-humane.org.
The Legacy Group in Silverdale is a well-respected independent mortgage banker, absolutely committed to helping Kitsap County families on their path to home ownership. As an employee-owned company, the Legacy Group has a strong stake in your success, and they want to be your lifetime partner in helping you develop a strong real estate portfolio. Call the Legacy Group in Silverdale today at 698-6440 and find out how they can help you get started on the road to home ownership. 698-6440 for the Legacy Group, a lending experience that's a little different and a lot smarter.
Hi, this is Stephen Gardner from the Kitsap Sun. There are three things we try to do on the Kitsap Caucus blog. Give you more about the story that didn't fit in the regular piece. Give you the story behind the story. We also try to draw attention to other news you might have missed. And sometimes, I like to poke fun at Port Orchard. Read the Kitsap Caucus blog at thekitsapsun.com.
As Kitsap County's largest maintenance provider, Team Innovative in Paulsbo provides commercial and residential maintenance to hundreds of millions of dollars of local real estate. With services including parking lot maintenance and street cleaning to landscape and design, Team Innovative is committed to using a green approach and following a strong environmental conscience. Team Innovative Services, 697-6858, or visit them online at getinnovative.net. Team Innovative Services, get serious, get innovative.
See, this song has grown on you, isn't it?
I hate this song. Want to shoot myself in the head.
Why are you so bitter?
I just hate this song, dude. See?
It's a great song, dude.
I feel like Sheldon.
You know, I don't watch Big Bang Theory at all.
Really? There was a for those of you that watched The Big Bang Theory, I saw this guy at the fair yesterday. I went to the Puyallup Fair with the family.
How was that, by the way?
It was great. It was great.
Was it before you answer this quote, before you tell your story? Was it cost comparable? Just in cost, not gas because it's a farther away trip, not toll, all that, but just the experience itself. Was it cost comparable to the Kitsap County Fair?
It cost me $10 to park.
Okay, and it was
$12.50 per adult to get in.
Okay, how much was it to park at the fair? $6 to park at the Kitsap County Fair, something like that.
I don't remember. I didn't go this year.
Okay, and okay, a little more. Okay.
So, and I was 50 yards away from the entrance.
Okay.
Walked right in. And there's 20 times more stuff to see. So yeah, for me, it's exceptionally cost effective. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Enjoyed it immensely.
You didn't go to the Kitsap County Fair this year.
No. I'm
just curious.
I was just so disappointed, honestly, with the Kitsap County Fair the last couple years.
Yeah.
This year, I was just like, forget it. I just, I'd love to go. I'd love to spend my money locally, but I want to go and have a good time. I want to feel like it's worth it.
Right.
And it just hasn't been for me the last few times that I've gone. So,
I did. Well, no, we'll talk about that another time. We'll talk. We have a very long discussion ahead of us in regards to Syria, and I want to allow us a full hour to talk about that. As Des is our social media.
Her fingers are going to be busy for the next short.
Yeah,
next
she'll
hour
have
here.
a lot of stuff to post in this, but I do want to acknowledge Des as she's a relatively new addition to the show.
She is a production assistant in trainee.
She's just been phenomenal,
and she's doing great things on the social media networks on Twitter and Facebook and stuff like that, and it's just been absolutely awesome.
Yeah,
and we've gained a lot more followers and everything else, and a lot of people are listening now, all because of Des.
Yeah, I just want to give you props where props are due.
Okay,
so.
now to the serious stuff.
So, all right. So, do you want to open this discussion? Do you want to build this segue?
No, I just want to get right into it. Listen, so every once in a while, I'll see a meme, which is just a picture that's with some words and stuff like that somebody posts that I find either profoundly interesting or somewhat funny. And if you're listening to this show and you are one of the many, many, many people that followed the New Yorker post and believed the post that said Obama calls Putin a jackass, you're an idiot.
Was that really floating around?
Yes. Yeah. Go to thenewyorker.com.
Really?
And you can pull it up. And I had friends posting the story to my page. You're going to talk about this tonight on the show. You're an idiot. The New Yorker is a satire page. It's a satire page. It's like The Onion.
Really?
Yes.
People were really like, this is true, this is authentic, this is really what we need to talk about.
I actually removed it from my page so I wouldn't look like an idiot for having it there.
That's outstanding.
So anyway, I just had to get that off my chest, man, because I was just like, if you are going to post something to my page and go, please talk about this on your show. All right, first of all, I do not work for MSNBC. I don't fall for those fake stories. All right.
Right. Thank God for that.
It wasn't her fault, remember.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Rachel Maddow. So every once in a while I post these memes, and over the last couple of days I posted two, which I found extremely thought-provoking. Okay? So let me read the first one, and we'll get your opinion on this first one, Kevin, and then we'll get to the second one. Okay? And then that'll lead us into our conversation here about Syria. Because if you noticed last week, like I'm a geek for this stuff, so I watched the congressional hearings where John Kerry was speaking to senators, the Senate Armed Services Committee, and there was a lot of stuff going back and forth about the chemical weapons that were used. And I want to make this very clear.
Okay.
There still is no evidence that's been presented to the public as a whole as to who used the chemical weapons.
Right.
Okay? That's not disputable. That information has not been made public. What has been made public is the administration's staunch need to tell us, trust us, it was the Assad regime.
Wasn't there somebody from the UN earlier this week that said that they believed it was Assad's as well?
There were reports that some people in the UN felt that it was Assad, but you have the Russians come out this week, release a 100-page report stating that it was the rebels that did it.
Okay.
There was, believe it or not, Alex Jones had a reporter that was able to locate an individual and got video of an individual who implies in the video that they were the ones, the rebels, that launched the chemical weapons. There is the German chancellor. She says that they have evidence. They believe it was the rebels. So there's a lot of information, and there's a lot of information continuing to come out to suggest that it was in fact the rebels. In fact, it is not a disputable fact that the intercepted phone calls, which was the first thing, by the way, that John Kerry quoted as their evidence.
Right.
The intercepted phone calls are between the general that's in charge of this particular unit and the chemical weapons unit itself, and he's going off on them, telling them you were not ordered to use those weapons. Was that you? You didn't do that, did you? And they're saying no, they didn't. So that's not evidence. Now, you could say maybe it's to throw us off the trail. Maybe they knew the call. The radio traffic was being intercepted. Well, that's a valid argument, but it doesn't amount to evidence nonetheless. Okay? Evidence means somebody has come out and admitted it. Okay? Or you have fingerprints on something, or you have video footage of something. There are a lot of reasons why the rebels would want the United States pissed at Assad so that the United States would attack Assad. Okay?
Yeah.
So doesn't it stand to reason that the rebels may have used it and done it to make it look like it was Assad's regime? Absolutely.
Absolutely. It makes perfect sense. Especially when the rebels are underfunded, underarmed, underfinanced.
There's approximately 100,000 rebels with approximately 600 splinter groups within that 100,000 member strong militant army. Of those 600 groups, approximately 1/4 of them are led or funded directly by Al-Qaeda. Another 25% of them are fundamentalist Muslims that want to turn Syria into a Muslim country, like Iran. Okay. Why do we... This is a question I got to ask you.
Sure.
Okay. But let me read these memes first, which got us on this whole conversation. Here was the first one. So Syrians killing Syrians is an act of war, but Americans being murdered in an American embassy isn't. It's a question I'm posing it to you.
Okay.
So were the Americans being murdered in Benghazi, was that an act of war?
That's a good question.
Now, see, and it is a good question, and that's why I posted it, because it's thought-provoking.
I didn't see that one either, by the way, or I would have commented on that probably.
Well, what do you think your comment would have been? Because this comes from a get Hillary out. This campaign that wrote up this meme is really fighting hard to make sure that Hillary doesn't run for president. They don't think she's fit. Now, I would have argued up until the Benghazi Gate happened last year that she would have been a fit individual to at least run for president and see how she did. But after all of that, I'm lockstep with these guys. She's got no business running for president. Just like Sarah Palin doesn't. But anyway, so what was your...
you have to let me explain, because I start to give an answer and then you jump all over me. So I don't I don't believe it's an act of war, but I also don't think that Syrians killing Syrians is an act of war, because I think that the Syrians killing Syrians thing is a internal domestic issue within Syria.
Okay.
I don't think it's an act of war. I don't think what happened in Benghazi is an act of war, only because you don't have another country declaring war. You have a group of fundamentalist people that are spread out all over the world that are. So if you want to say, is it an act of war by fundamentalist Islam? Well, yeah, then we already had that on 9/11. We already had that at the original World Trade Center bombing. So then it's no more of an act of war than any. But I never thought that what's going on in Syria is an act of war, because it's a domestic.
Well, it's a civil war. It's a civil war.
Well, again, now last week you said you didn't think it was a civil war.
No, that's not what I said.
No,
It is. I firmly believe it's a civil war, but it's and it's part of why, when you take a look at history around the world, you look and you can directly apply this to U.S. history and the French sitting afar watching how we were doing against the British before they intervened, before they got involved.
That's your wife calling you?
Yeah.
Doesn't she know you have a radio show right now?
Yeah, I don't know why she's.
You've been married to her for how long?
I'll call her at the break.
Okay. So do you want to step out and I can tell everybody why you're wrong about everything?
No, I don't trust you. That's why I won't do that. So I guess here's the thing. So when they say Syrians killing Syrians, because these are comments and statements that were made by Hillary Clinton.
Yes.
Syrians killing Syrians, that's war. That's an act of war. It's a civil war. And so the point being made here is, but Americans being murdered in the U.S. Embassy in Benghazi is not an act of war. What they're looking for is draw the distinction then. Because if you're you can't have one be war and one just be what? An accident, a mistake, bunch of guys with rocket launchers walking down the street bored. To quote Hillary Clinton, what difference does it make? Well, it makes a lot of difference to the American people, because we put our politicians on a pedestal and we have a certain level of expectations with regards to their honesty and their clarity in communication. And it's the same reason why, justifiably so, the Bush administration has taken so much heat over the lack of weapons of mass destruction found in Iraq, and rightfully so.
But isn't this meme, whatever they are?
Yeah, I know. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Isn't this an apples and orange argument? Because on one hand, and I'm not discounting the importance of the argument, but isn't this an apples and orange argument? On one hand, you have a ruling party in Syria and a group of rebels in Syria fighting over Syrian territory, Syrian people, Syrian self-rule. On the other hand, you have what happened in Benghazi, which is diplomats basically taken out by fundamentalist extremist terrorists. It's not I don't even think that there's a correlation to be drawn here. Could you the correlation the correlation for me would be the same if you were going to draw this to 9/11 or this to the Assad shooter or this, you know what I mean? That is an outside group against Americans.
I get what you were saying. I do.
Yeah. So
I don't fault you for it at all. I think though, and this is totally my opinion, I think that you fall into the trap that I think a lot of people fall into with regards to this very simple question, and that is, simply put, how do you define war? Because I think that there's no difference in definition if you're the individual that's involved. That's my point. If you're in combat, it's combat. Combat is war, and if you were one of those Navy SEALs at Benghazi, you know that you're in combat.
Okay.
And so the point is, I think with regards to the meme, is to get people to, in their own minds, redefine what is war instead of trying to put labels on something.
Yeah. So maybe I'm looking at this from an American perspective.
I think that's what I meant about the trap.
Maybe that's my mistake. I'm looking at it as an American perspective. So if you just want to use the baseline as if you're X person in either one of those, are you in an act of war? Then I would agree. If you're a SEAL on the ground at Benghazi, or if you're Mahmoud on the ground in Syria, do you perceive yourself in a state of war?
Yeah.
Then I would agree.
Yeah,
I would agree that's
and the reason I say it's a trap, it's
the next one I'm not going to
Americans. We as Americans are profoundly forgiving and profoundly nice compared to a lot of the rest of the world. I mean, we really are. And so we always try to justify people's actions before we blame them for their actions. That's just generally how we are. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
And so, for example, I would suggest to you that the Fort Hood shooter, Major Nidal Hassan, the crime the government says he committed, that was an act of war. He did it in the name of Allah. He did it because he didn't want to go into a combat zone and because he didn't like Americans killing Muslims in Iraq. That's why he did it, admittedly so. And so that, to me, that's an act of war. To those soldiers, it was an act of war. So that's the perception of Americans is, well, there weren't tanks and there weren't airplanes and there weren't rockets and there weren't bombs falling. So it was really just workplace violence.
Yeah, I think that when you say act of war, I think that I'm equating your act of war to my act of aggression.
Sure.
And when I think act of war, I'm looking for a baseline of a tiered structure of a leadership somewhere else
declaring or
coming to a decision as a body. The Germans in World War II, through Hitler and through his leadership party, through the Reichstag, through that whole process, they decided that they were going to commit acts of aggression in the process of starting and continuing a war. That would be an act of war to me. I don't think one person.
I get that
for my opinion, for my definition. I don't think Hassan commits an act of war. I think it's an act of terror. I think it's a terrorist.
It was a war on terror.
Right. But what I mean is, because then, is the guy in Colorado at the movie theater, is he committing an act of war?
No, because he wasn't doing it in the name of anything other than just being shitbird crazy.
Shitbird crazy.
It was. Did I just say that?
You did.
Oh
yeah.
Man.
But it's okay because I don't think anybody's offended at home because they all agree that the dude was whacked out.
Yeah. There's a difference.
So it's the motives.
I think it's all about motive. It's all about intent. And I just, for me, it becomes personal. I want to change as many people's perspective as I can because I want people to take this stuff more seriously. What is going on? And this is where we're going to get into this next part here. What is going on in Syria? People need to take a step back if you're listening to this right now. And I want you to think about this very, very deeply. If our president is authorized to go to war, okay, now and I'm going to call it what it is. Now, a lot of people are downplaying. We're not going to war. We're not getting involved in a Syrian civil war. We're just going to send a message. Can I just suggest this is the first time in American history I can ever remember us going to do harm to somebody with the intent of doing as little harm as possible?
Well, yeah, we'll touch on that because I actually have an issue with that.
Because I don't get that. Okay? That makes absolutely zero sense whatsoever. Our top commander, our head of our commanders, our top general says, I'm not sure what our mission here is going to be.
Yeah.
That is a problem. The Russians and the Chinese have sent naval vessels into the Mediterranean to support Syria in the event they are attacked. Iran has said if we are attacked, we are going to immediately use chemical and biological weapons on Israel. Now information's being leaked out by an Israeli top general who says that President Obama intentionally nixed their plans, threatened Israel if Israel took out the nuclear reactors in Iran. Okay? Now, all of these things lead to some inevitable conclusions. Months ago, the president knew all of this stuff was going on in Syria, right?
Right.
Yes. Okay? The president knew both sides were bad, right? Yes. The Syrian rebels came to us and said, please support us, please help us. What did Barack Obama say to them then? He said, no, not getting involved. Sorry, no American interest here. Okay? And that was at the behest of a lot of American politicians. Okay? I'm not laying all the blame for this on Obama by any stretch of the imagination. But he said no. Well, guess who said yes? Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda came in and said, hey, them Americans suck. They won't support you, but we got your back.
Yeah.
Right? It's like the little kid on the block who's getting beat up by the bully all the time, and he goes to his parents and asks for help, and when his parents say no, he turns to another neighbor kid who's a bad influence on him. Takes him down a bad path. Okay? Now you got twice the problem. Okay? And now we're learning through inside sources at the White House that apparently the president in the next 48 hours is going to try to link Syria and the problem in Iran. And he's going to actually make the case for dealing with them both at the same time. What's going to happen here is he's running the risk of starting World War III in the Middle East. And I'm telling you right now, the generals in our military are already coming out and saying, we don't know how we're going to pay for this. So John Kerry last week on Thursday decided to make it very clear who was going to pay for it. Do you know who John Kerry said was going to pay for our action against Assad?
No, I didn't see that.
Several Middle Eastern partners are going to foot the entire bill. Now, Kevin, let me ask you a question.
Let me guess which Middle Eastern partners
he didn't say, actually.
Well, hold on. I think it's a pretty simple guess, right?
I do, too.
Israel. Israel.
No.
No?
No. It's not Israel, actually.
You don't think Israel would be footing for part of it just because of stabilization of the region?
I can tell you exactly who it's going to be because I have a friend that works at the Pentagon who made it very clear who
Saudi
it was.
Arabia and Egypt?
Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates. No, not Egypt. They got their own problems.
Yeah?
Yeah. We owe them money, remember?
So Saudi Arabia, UAE, Yemen.
Kuwait. UAE. Saudi. Basically, your rich, oil-producing Sinai Peninsula countries there are the ones who are willing to foot the bill.
In the Arabian Peninsula.
Okay. Why? Because they don't like Iran, and Iran is directly allied with Syria. Okay? This is a way for them to damage Syria by removing Assad. So, and remember, it's Iran who's threatening to block the Straits of Hormuz. So it's not like the Middle East is going to erupt all of them against us. And by the way, those rich countries, they don't have militaries worth a shit. So that means they pick up the phone and call Ghostbusters.
See a whole bunch of Yemenis.
But do you see what do you understand my point? So what John Kerry came out and said was, and I want you folks that are at home listening right now, I want you to let this think in very, very, very deep. Barack Obama, the president of the United States of America, and John Kerry have essentially admitted that if we do this, we are now the Middle East, several countries in the Middle East, we have now become their mercenary group.
Okay.
All right. And I don't know how you feel about me saying that, but I certainly feel that that's the case, which is why now we have a lot of U.S. soldiers coming out, holding signs over their faces and saying, Mr. President, I will not go to war and become Al-Qaeda's Air Force. I will not go to war and fight for Al-Qaeda. Now, under normal circumstances, I would have said to those soldiers, do not do that. He's your duly elected commander-in-chief. You support him 100% no matter what. But I think if this happens, Kevin, I think we could see a serious uprising within our own military circles.
No, we got to talk about that too. That's a whole other issue for us to talk about as well.
It will.
We have one other mem, but
Yes.
but let's go to break first. It's 8:30, so let's take a break. We come back. This is the mem that you and I are going to butt heads about.
Okay.
So let's take the break now, and then I'm going to tell you why you're an idiot with this mem, and
That's
you're going to
fair.
tell me why I'm an idiot. With this mem.
I'll read it, and then I'll let you speak first.
Fair enough. All right. Outlaw Radio Network. He is St. Paul, the voice of reason.
He's Kevin, the K-Dog, the loose cannon. Good Lord.
Also, I'm in the middle of tallying up our NFL picks. One of us did very well, I think.
Yeah, not me.
I don't know how anybody else did. I haven't tallied those up yet.
Dude, Tennessee won.
We're back after this. They did? Stay tuned.
The Outlaw Radio Network.
Hey, St. Paul, the voice of reason here. Wanted to send a quick shout out to our friends at Pacific Northwest Artisans. They're a custom concrete and design fabrication company. They can do all of your concrete needs. They can do pathways, walkways, driveways, you name it. You need a new foundation, you're going to do an add-on, give them a call, 731-9812 or 649-0987. Again, that's 731-9812 or 649-0987. Pacific Northwest Artisans, all of your concrete needs.
As Kitsap County's largest maintenance provider, Team Innovative in Paulsbo provides commercial and residential maintenance to hundreds of millions of dollars of local real estate. With services including parking lot maintenance and street cleaning to landscape and design, Team Innovative is committed to using a green approach and following a strong environmental conscience. Team Innovative Services, 697-6858, or visit them online at getinnovative.net. Team Innovative Services, get serious, get innovative.
Make a difference in your community and volunteer at Kitsap Humane Society. We have opportunities for everyone and need help in all areas of the shelter. You can clean, feed, and help socialize animals, or answer phones, greet customers, and help run special events and fundraisers. KHS volunteers also lead programs including our foster program, canine training, and animal-assisted therapy. If you are interested in volunteering at Kitsap Humane Society, visit our website at kitsap-humane.org.
The Legacy Group in Silverdale is a well-respected independent mortgage banker, absolutely committed to helping Kitsap County families on their path to home ownership. As an employee-owned company, the Legacy Group has a strong stake in your success, and they want to be your lifetime partner in helping you develop a strong real estate portfolio. Call the Legacy Group in Silverdale today at 698-6440 and find out how they can help you get started on the road to home ownership. 698-6440 for the Legacy Group, a lending experience that's a little different and a lot smarter.
Hi, this is Stephen Gardner from the Kitsap Sun. There are 3 things we try to do on the Kitsap Caucus blog. Give you more about the story that didn't fit in the regular piece. Give you the story behind the story. We also try to draw attention to other news you might have missed. And sometimes, I like to poke fun at Port Orchard. Read the Kitsap Caucus blog at thekitsapsun.com.
As Kitsap County's largest maintenance provider, Team Innovative in Paulsbo provides commercial and residential maintenance to hundreds of millions of dollars of local real estate. With services including parking lot maintenance and street cleaning to landscape and design, Team Innovative is committed to using a green approach and following a strong environmental conscience. Team Innovative Services, 697-6858, or visit them online at getinnovative.net. Team Innovative Services, get serious, get innovative.
I don't even want to know how bad I see over there tallying up those football scores.
I haven't, Eve. I'm just getting
I can't believe Pittsburgh lost, for God's sakes.
Well, again, I know you don't want to give him any props for it, but Trey did double down on Tennessee to win.
Yeah, he picks teams like Mindy Byers. Oh, look, I like that trim.
Oh, it's shiny.
Oh, squirrel!
Somebody, who was it that told me that? I think it was at my men's breakfast yesterday with the church yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said most people have ADD. I have ADIS. Attention deficit. It's shiny. So, all right. So go ahead and read. This is the mem now. This is the one that I don't. It's not even remotely the same. But go ahead.
I don't know how you don't see this and understand it, but in retrospect, thinking about it, and as I read this, I want you folks to understand something about Kevin. He's not a staunch constitutionalist like St. Paul, the voice of reason.
Oh, it's like
Kevin
that,
believes in the Constitution. Do not get me wrong, but there's a difference. Kevin believes, I think that the Constitution is a living, breathing thing, like our president believes. And I'm not saying that it's not a living organism, but it takes a lot to amend it, to do things to it. I'm a firm believer in the Second Amendment, what it represents and why it's there and what it's there for.
Sure.
It was put in place so that if you have a tyrannical government, the populace will be armed and the populace can overthrow the tyrannical government. That, in a nutshell, is the point of the Second Amendment. So, with that in mind, understanding and knowing and learning and believing that, here's the meme that I posted. It says, read this real slowly and think about it. Then read it again to help it sink in. There's a picture of Barack Obama, and he says, we're sending assault weapons to rebels in Syria to confront a regime that does not represent them. And then on the other side, it says, it has a picture of Barack Obama, and it says, there's no reason why any American should own assault weapons. Kevin then posted, not even the same argument. Kevin?
Okay, let me explain why it's not the same argument.
Go ahead.
One, we're not sending
What?
We're not currently sending assault weapons to the rebels in Syria. That's one.
Yes, we are.
No, we're not.
Yeah, we are.
No, we're not. We're not arming the rebels in Syria.
We have been for some time.
Do you have anything that justifies that? Do you have anything that proves that besides your
keep talking
right-wing nuts so whack job websites that say that? I mean, do you have anything credible that shows that we're actually providing arms to them?
To be honest with you, it may be hard for me to pull it up on this computer because of the issues we're having with the in-studio computers, but I will see if I can pull it up. Listen, there have actually been many articles written about the United States through third parties arming the rebels. In point of fact, there's a great deal of speculation and people that were on the ground in Benghazi that said we were providing missiles to the rebels through Benghazi, Libya.
Okay, all right. I want to see something that shows that. I don't know that there's been anything that's actually solidified that or confirmed that. The key issue here is this. Okay, one, it's not the same argument because we're talking about a situation right now that is life and death in Syria for the rebels. If you work under the assumption that the government is working under, and let's assume that it's true, and I don't know if it is or not, I don't know if we'll ever know over here in our lazy boys, okay? But let's assume that it's true that the Assad government is using poison gas and they're killing kids by the hundreds and they're killing innocents because of what they're using.
Source: USA Today. Obama approves arming Syrian rebels.
Okay, what's the date on this?
June.
Okay. Okay, I hadn't seen that from any credible website. I'll give USA. They're pretty mainstream. If USA's got it, then it probably happened back in August of last year. If we want to have a conversation about gun laws and gun rights in this country, we can definitely have that. But this is not the time to loop together the two. If you want to argue whether or not Obama should or shouldn't stand for or against the Second Amendment, that we should have assault weapons, whatever, then that's fine. But these aren't like-minded arguments. We don't live in a country like Syria. We don't live in a country where you have fundamentalist governments trying to wipe people off the streets on a daily basis. We don't have that. We've never had that here. It's not to compare our government and our way of life to what's happening in Syria is God, it's not even close. Do you honestly believe that we're ever going to be to the point in this country where we're going to be taking up assault weapons in the streets against our government? I mean,
is that rhetorical, or do you want?
No,
to
I'm serious. Do you honestly think that we're ever going to be to that point?
I think
the way that the government is set up now, we can replace these bastards every 4 years if we have to.
Yeah. Listen, there have been many democratically elected leaders in the history of the world that where the people have technically had the power to remove them, and then that power was taken away. In fact, that's what happened in Egypt. That's why Morsi, there was a coup. So listen, and you ask me, you say, do I ever think that we'll get to that point in our country? My point to you, and I understand that argument, and I do not fault you for that argument one bit, because I think that it is a reasonable point for you to make, or anybody else. But I submit to you, and I want you to please let this weigh on you. Neither you or I or anybody else can see the future. And it's just that reason that we cannot take away that right, because we don't know what will happen in the future. We don't know if in 10 or 15 or 20 years, a charismatic young man from the Deutschland will show up with a little half-handlebar mustache and talk eloquently and try to get us all of a sudden start putting Polish people in gas chambers. We don't know what will happen. That's my point. And because we can't see the future and we don't know what will happen, and it's why I am so strongly against the concept of the Constitution being a living, breathing thing, and if it just wasn't in our way, we could blah, 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 blah. No, that's our safety mechanism for the most part. But as we are seeing, we saw it with George W. Bush and the Patriot Act. We're seeing it now with Obama, with Obamacare, and with this stuff that's going on with regards to Syria, that presidents, when they need to, can sidestep the Constitution.
Sure.
And so yes, I think it is a very real, very legitimate fear. Okay? In Syria, you had a dictator who had an iron grip, iron control over his people. They still rose up. Okay?
Right.
So in things are good here right now. But as Thomas Jefferson said, every generation has to suffer its own revolution of some type, some way, somehow. And we don't know where the future is going to go. So and I would, now are you done? You want me to stop?
No, I just my last point with this whole thing is that I don't think you can ever how do I explain this?
Go ahead.
I don't think you can ever go backwards on these progressive movements in what you're seeing in Egypt and what we saw in Iran. Now they've quashed what happened in Iran, but I don't think it's gone away. I think Iran's going to rear up again. What we're seeing in Syria, what we saw in the Arab Spring, I think these are all progressive movements that have been some levels hijacked by fundamentalist groups. But in all of these, I think there's a core undercurrent of a desire to move forward and become more worldly and more technologically connected and more one with the world. I can't imagine that we would ever slip that far backwards as a nation. I just don't think
you don't want to imagine it. That doesn't mean that it can't happen.
Do you? Maybe I'm naive then, because I don't think that the American population could ever be coaxed to slip that far. I mean, you're basically saying we're gonna willingly take 10 steps backwards.
Well, let me ask you this: 10 years ago, did you ever think you would see a situation where the federal government would mandate that you purchase something?
Well, yeah, it was already happening 10 years ago. It's called automobile insurance.
No, that was the state government, and that was a completely different.
No, but again, the government required you to purchase.
The state government already had the authority to do that for you, because you had to show fiscal responsibility in order to drive a motor vehicle, because you could cause damage and other things and blah blah blah.
The government, the idea of the government requiring you to purchase something, that I'm not surprised.
And tell you who to buy it from.
Again, so none of that surprised me, because they've been doing it. That has been happening in bits and pieces.
Exactly, that's exactly the point.
Our entire life.
That's exactly the point. So at some point, you have to, as I made in the argument earlier, it's that line. Every time you step across it, it gets easier and easier and easier and easier, and then you look back and go, God damn, where the hell did I start? Where's the first part of that line? I can't see it anymore. And the point is, it's somewhere you have to put your foot down and say, this can't happen anymore. You can't keep going down this road. You can't keep going down this line. And the point of this meme was, let me read it again. We're sending assault weapons to rebels in Syria to confront a regime that doesn't represent them. That is your point was not even the same argument. And I say to you, after hearing what you had to say, all very eloquent, well put. And then Obama says, there's no reason why any American should own assault weapons. Kevin, that's exactly the reason why Americans should have the right to own assault weapons, simply because we don't know what the future holds. How do we know? Let me ask you this, and this is going to be a way out there question. You're going to say, that will never happen. And I'm sorry, I said that like I was making fun of you. I apologize.
You're being very diplomatic today. What's happened to you? You're being very diplomatic.
But let me ask you this. We are about to launch rockets into Syria. The Russians and Chinese have pledged their help to Syria. If that blows up and starts World War III, Kevin, would you feel better or worse having an assault weapons ban in the event the Chinese and Russians decide to go to war against us. Because we could very well see soldiers from either one or both of those countries on our shore if that were to happen. Do you want to live in a country where it just seems to me, it seems unconscionable that people would think that our president is so close to potentially pushing us into a war that could land foreign troops on our soil, and people are saying to themselves, well, we should still have an assault weapon ban.
Well, first off, I think that if we went to war, I think that there would suddenly not be an assault weapons ban anymore.
Fuck no, people would be digging them up out of their graveyard.
Yeah, I just
Hey, Pam, those 3 AK-47s I buried 16 years ago out there. Next to the dog's grave. Next to the dog. No, the other dog.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Go dig those up for me, would you? That's part of my point. But listen, we never know what the future is going to hold. Part of the reason the Japanese never invaded U.S. soil during World War II was because they feared a rifle behind every blade of grass.
Yeah.
And that's a paraphrase directly from Hirohito.
Yeah.
And that is something more than anything else in the last 50 years, I think, has protected this country. Nowhere else on earth can you go where you have to fear the level of armed citizenry that you do here, except maybe Mexico.
For a completely different reason. No, and listen, you're completely correct. I'm not disputing that at all. However, I think that your argument here is
flawed.
Not flawed. I think it's convoluted. I think that you're jumbling a whole bunch of different things together.
I just believe we should all own sidearms and weapons to protect ourselves, our country, and our family.
Okay, now,
and that includes assault weapons.
But here's your question. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this question.
Go ahead.
Let's say we have to stand up against our government, which again I don't predict. I think it's going to happen.
But you don't know that it'll never happen.
You're right. But let's say we have to stand up against our government. Mm-hmm. Do you think if you're armed with a AK-47 or a submachine gun or whatever, do you think you stand a lick of a chance?
I stand more of a chance than if I'm armed with a stick.
Okay, fair enough. But again, do you think you stand a chance? I mean, do you think that
by myself, no,
a well-organized militia,
but 100 million of us, absolutely.
Well, all right, I don't know, dude.
And that's the point. It becomes
Seattle becomes out of bounds with napalm. I'm just listen. Then you get into the discussion about...
I grew up watching Red Dawn, brother.
No, I get that.
Wolverines.
I get that.
God, that was such a...
It was a great movie. The remake was crap, though. But listen, but then it gets back to the discussion. Well, the government has planes. Should we have planes? The government has tanks. Should we have tanks? The government has aircraft carriers. Should we have aircraft carriers? I mean,
no. We do limit high-grade military. We do limit military-grade equipment. You cannot go out and buy a fully manned AR-15. You can't go buy an M16.
But you will agree that there are people in this country who believe the Second Amendment entitles them to be armed to the level that the government is in case they have to stand with the government, and they believe that since the government has a nuke, they should be able to have a nuke.
It simply comes to small. It simply applies to small arms, and
you classify an AK-47 as a small arm?
Well, it ain't a big one.
Does NATO classify AK-47s as small arms?
Yep.
Do they?
Yep.
And UN classifies them as small arms?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just curious. I don't know.
Listen,
I always thought a small arm was a handgun.
Listen, I can take out an M1 tank with my bare hands.
No, you cannot.
Yes, I can.
How?
It's classified. I can't tell you on air, but it's the truth.
You can take out an M1 with your hands.
That's correct.
All right.
Yep. And again, it's not something I would ever put out there publicly. For any of my brothers that have been on the M1 tanks, they know exactly what I'm talking about.
But that's assuming there's not somebody running around with a fully automatic Thompson machine gun, right? I mean, because then you can't get close enough to the damn thing to take it out.
Yeah, you got bigger problems if you're trying to get up close enough to a tank to take it out with your bare hands. That's all I'm saying.
Listen, let's switch just real quick.
There's a tank coming. Paul, where are you going? Oh, running away. Oh, okay, I'm coming.
Good plan. Yeah. Let me ask you this question: what do we do with Syria then?
Yeah. Honestly, now it's too late. I think it's too late. If we were going to ever get involved in Syria, we needed to have gotten involved when the rebels asked for help.
So now we don't get involved.
No, listen.
Does China and Russia scare you?
Very much so.
Do you really?
Yeah.
So are you?
Russia's military is old and decrepit, but they still can field a couple million men. China is not old and decrepit. They're just subpar with regards to their equipment and their standards.
And they don't have much of a navy.
And it's difficult for them to mobilize their military and put them wherever they want. Not impossible. The thing with China is that there are just so goddamn many of them. And so do they scare me? Absolutely. And
are they going to march from
by
Beijing?
the way, who's China's ally? North Korea. There are so many places right now that are on the cusp, just people that are just looking for world leaders that are looking for an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
If we go and what'll amount to nothing more than a pinprick, a flea on the back of a wolf, by launching those Tomahawk cruise missiles into Syria, it will be so inconsequential on the greater scheme of things, but yet it runs the risk of starting a global war.
Why would China and Russia stand up for Assad then? If the intel is correct and Assad is using gas,
Russia's making the case that it wasn't Assad, that it was the rebels. And Russia's claiming they have the evidence to support it. They published a 100-page report about just that.
What is Russia's stake in Syria? Because there's not really oil in Syria, right? So it's not like Russia's.
There's some. It's like 2% of the.
But
world's.
It's minimal.
It's minimal.
It's not like Russia's got a huge stake in the oil fields in Syria or something like that.
Russia didn't have a lot in Vietnam either, buddy.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm asking. What is their?
Syria's become a proxy state for them.
I thought they were kind of out of that business.
Really?
Well, I mean, they kind of got out of everywhere else.
Well, listen. Right now, it's obvious Putin has made it clear through his people he does not like Barack Obama. He feels that he's an amateur and feels like he's got horrible personal skills. And listen, not that Putin. I would not want to have lunch with Putin. Let me put it to you that way, because I'd have a taste tester and get taste and everything.
Putin's kind of a doofenshmirtz.
That guy gives me the creeps, dude. He's like your perverted uncle. I just don't like the way he looks at you. Everything about him to me, it just grates on my nerves. But I think, to be honest with you, it has become obvious that Barack Obama either is willfully trying to push us into a broader conflict, which I want to believe is not the case, or he's fucking up. And he's trying. This is almost like
isn't he in a no-win situation? Though?
He got himself into this, and he's been given outs, but he's refused to take them.
What are his outs, though?
Well, for example, last week an idea started being floated among certain Democrats within the House because they recognized his chances of getting a vote through were 50-50 at best. Okay? Now, if you're the president and you say, I've had a change of heart, which is what the president said, I'm going to go ahead and take this case to Congress, which is what the president said. Okay? I want Congress to vote with me so that the world can see that the American people stand behind my decision to draw a red line in the sand.
Right.
What happens if he doesn't get the vote, Kevin?
Then he's out.
No, he's made it clear he may still exercise his right and go it alone.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is, ideally that could be an out. That would be an opportunity for him to say, okay,
that is an out.
I tried.
That's right. That is an out. Okay. He's now said, I may go it alone. So what has he done? He's thrown that out away. So some Democrats came up with another out for him. This out was, well, let's issue an ultimatum to the Assad regime and let's give them 45 days to sign on to the chemical weapons accord, saying that they will get rid of all chemical weapons and they'll swear off the use of them and they'll never use them again. That's an out. That's a way to say, okay, we won't attack if you do this. Right?
Right.
You don't hear him out in public pushing that.
No.
Okay? So he's, again, and I don't know which it is. Somebody else needs to tell me. Maybe, I don't know, Don Manning should call me and educate me on what Barack Obama's thinking right now. Is he willfully trying to push us into a broader conflict? Because I'm pretty sure I've heard from Don Manning a dozen times, why would the man talks in Iraq? Stupid George W. Bush, blah, blah, blah. Well, what the hell is this?
Right.
Because you know what? We didn't go to a war in Iraq when Saddam Hussein gassed the Kurds. Do you know why? We had no U.S. interest at stake.
Right.
We weren't threatened. We weren't, and it's the same thing here. And this is Barack Obama trying to play the big boy on the block and draw his little red line in the sand and say, if you touch my friend over here with your right pinky finger, I will beat you up. That's not even that. It's, if you touch my friend over here or you look at him sideways, I'll look back at you. That's what it amounts to.
So in theory, using your position as a reference point, Obama should back away, let it go, and not get involved, knowing full well that chemical weapons are being used. Innocent civilians, regardless of who's using them, innocent civilians are dying. Children are dying, women are dying, innocent people are dying. Horrible, ghastly, unimaginable deaths. And we have charged ourselves as the world's policemen. We're going to throw our hands up and say, meh, fuck it.
This is why we can't be the world's policeman. Caleb, do you got that video ready to play?
He's not there. He stepped aside.
Hey, Des. Can you go ask Caleb if he's got that video I sent him, if it's queued up and ready to play or not, and then come back down and let us know? Thank you. I'm going to play this video.
You better hurry. We got 4 minutes. How long's the video?
We'll do what we need to do. It's like 4 or 5 minutes.
Okay.
Anyway, the point is this video illustrates why we can't be picking sides in this. This is the same problem the Obama administration got themselves into when they started giving out taxpayer money to certain green companies. They started picking winners and losers.
Right.
When you start picking winners and losers, Kevin, let me ask you this. If you look at the president of the United States that starts picking winners and losers in life, what does that make that president of the United States?
Well, he's controlling the whole thing.
Yeah, what does that make him?
Well, I'm not sure what answer you're looking for.
I'm not looking for any answer. I'm just looking for your answer.
No,
If the president starts picking winners and losers in life, hey, I like your company, here's money. I don't like you so much, you don't get no money. Hey, I like what you're fighting over. Here's a couple extra 1,000 small arms. You go ahead and you go kick that guy's ass now because I want you to win. And do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, yeah.
That's why we can't be the world's police. And to have the Middle Eastern countries come out and say, hey, we'll pay, we'll foot the bill if you go in there and get Assad out. It sounds a lot to me, Kevin, like our president isn't as worried about the evidence, as much about the evidence and who's really to blame here, or really about even saving the innocent people. It's about big oil. It's about big oil telling the United States, we need this guy gone, we need you to do it. Because with no evidence presented, and the American people are sitting here screaming, hey, we don't like this. Only 26% of the U.S. public supports action against Syria. 3/4 of the people in this country do not support taking action against Syria.
Right.
Okay? If you're the president, you don't do it. Not if you want to keep your office. Unless somebody is pushing you big time.
But if Congress, let's say Congress this week authorizes it and says, yeah, go ahead. I mean, isn't he in the clear? I mean, for the respect of keeping his office, having his head free of crossfire, I mean...
Is he in the clear? I wouldn't say so.
No.
And I just say that because I don't... Listen, Congress voted to go to war against Iraq, didn't they? Didn't find any WMDs, did they?
No.
So how are you going to tell me it's about the... We have intelligence that said, well, you've been wrong before.
Yeah.
So... I'm it just doesn't wash for me, man. It doesn't wash. And when you consider the potential gains versus the potential for driving the world into World War III, man, I don't see how those equate.
Yeah.
Do you?
No, and they're fair questions. I mean, they're really fair questions. Caleb, do we have that video ready?
He said no.
He doesn't have it ready.
All right. Well, that's okay.
All right.
Long story short, the video just goes. It's some news reporters on the ground from Russia Today, which is it's a Russian
Hey,
TV.
here's an idea.
Yeah, what's that?
If you had wanted the video like, 10 minutes ago, we would have had it for you. Not 2 minutes before the break.
It's okay. You weren't out there, so that's why I sent it over to you a while ago.
Yeah, I have had it ready.
Oh, here we go.
But you asked to queue it up way too late.
You weren't there.
I've been here up until 30 seconds ago when I went upstairs, and then somebody had to come get me because you were ready to
This is
cue
what a
the
catfight
video.
looks like on the radio.
Anyways.
All right,
Lord.
So, okay, so
long story short, the video just goes on to talk about how these reporters are in this village, and there's a nun that comes out. It's a Christian village.
Yeah.
The rebels surrounded the village and massacred the village. Okay? You don't see that playing on News in America.
Right.
Why not? because it will totally kill the president's argument. It's one of those things. There are members of the media right now in support of Barack, in literally blind support. Obama has the most dangerous weapon, in my opinion, that you could ever have as a leader of a country. You know what that is?
The media?
Devotion.
Yeah. Well, the media is all over this. I mean, the left media, CNN, MSNBC, although
even some Fox News members.
Who even watches MSNBC? But
about
CNN,
120,000 people.
Yeah, it just it's all over it. Let me ask you a question before we go to the top of the hour break.
Yes, go ahead.
If you were going to go to Vegas and put 10 grand down, do we launch something offensively in Syria in the next 7 days before next week's show?
No. But doesn't it bother you that it's changed from... Now, I don't know if you heard this or not. Many people aren't aware of this. But John Kerry, when asked directly under oath if boots on the ground would be a necessity... Because remember, if you listen to the president, he gives his speeches. No, we're just going to lob some cruise missiles in there and we're going to hit some specific key targets to weaken his command and control structure, blah, 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 blah. Well, John Kerry admitted under oath that in point of fact that there are certain things that could happen that would require U.S. boots on the ground.
You heard that Charles Rangel asked for a draft, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fucking ridiculous.
All right. Top of the hour news is next. When we come back, we're going to switch gears and we're going to do our NFL picks. Yep. And joining us live by phone will be the sports editor for the Kitsap Sun, Nathan Joyce will be joining us by phone. He'll be our guest picker this week, so
Excellent.
Stick around. Outlaw Radio Network. We're back after this.
The Outlaw Radio Network.
News in Washington, I'm Jim Hawk. Congress resumes work Monday after a 5-week summer break, but a heated debate about Syria is already well underway. Secretary of State John Kerry told reporters in Paris there's a difference between killing with poison gas as opposed to more conventional means.
I know it's hard to draw lines. People say, well, what about artillery? And isn't somebody dying from an artillery blast the same as dying from this? Well, the answer is the world decided no.
After a meeting in Paris with Arab foreign ministers, Kerry said Saudi Arabia is now backing President Obama's effort to punish Syria for its alleged role in a chemical attack in August. The president addresses the nation in a primetime speech from the White House on Tuesday night. The head of the nation's largest civil rights organization is stepping down. Benjamin Jealous, president and CEO of the NAACP, is resigning. NPR's Nathan Rott reports.
It's been a busy 5 years for Benjamin Todd Jealous. Since becoming the NAACP's youngest elected president at 35, Jealous has stabilized the organization's finances, nearly doubling its revenue from 2008. Perhaps more importantly, though, he gave the civil rights organization a modern face. Jealous was outspoken in the fight against New York's stop and frisk laws and was called a civil rights visionary after speaking out for gay rights. He was also a lead speaker in the aftermath of the Supreme Court's ruling on the Voting Rights Act and during the trial for the murder of Trayvon Martin. It was because of all that time away, though, that Jealous has decided to retire. He said he wants to be able to spend more time with his family. Nathan Rott, NPR News.
The voting is over in the Moscow mayoral election. The Kremlin-backed incumbent won, but NPR's Corey Flintoff reports that his main challenger did much better than expected.
Two different exit polls show the incumbent mayor, Sergei Sobyanin, with a lead of about 53%. That's good enough to avoid a runoff election, but it's not as good as Sobyanin was predicted to do in a poll conducted late last month. The exit polls differ slightly about opposition leader Alexei Navalny, but it appears that he'll finish with around 30% of the vote, far ahead of any other challenger in the race. Navalny mustered an army of volunteers and conducted a Western-style campaign with a lot of direct outreach to voters. His supporters have said that a strong showing by Navalny could mean that Muscovites are ready for a change in politics. Corey Flintoff, NPR News, Moscow.
Researchers are assessing the damage from a massive wildfire burning around Yosemite National Park, laying plans to protect habitat and waterways as the fall rainy season approaches. Members of the Federal Burned Area Emergency Response Team have been hiking the rugged Sierra Nevada terrain this weekend, even as thousands of firefighters continue to battle the 4-week-old blaze. The third largest wildfire in modern California history has now burned just under 396 square miles of timber, meadows, and sensitive wildlife habitat. This is NPR News. Just days after London police arrested 2 men during an attempted burglary at Buckingham Palace, Larry Miller reports Prince Andrew was challenged on the palace grounds by officers who failed to recognize him.
Identify yourself, demanded the armed officers to the Queen's second son as he returned to the palace after a charity event. He has an apartment there. Scotland Yard denies newspaper reports Prince Andrew was ordered to put up his hands and get on the ground, but it has issued an apology for any inconvenience, and is grateful for his understanding. For his part, Andrew says he accepts the apology, pointing out that sometimes police get it wrong. Security was tightened after the break-in Monday night. One man was arrested inside the palace, the other waiting outside the fence. It's reported the intention was to steal royal jewels on public display to mark the Queen's 60 years on the throne. For NPR News, I'm Larry Miller in London.
Top-seeded Serena Williams has won her 5th U.S. Open Tennis Championship and 17th Grand Slam title overall. She beat number 2 Victoria Azarenka in a windy final. Williams needs just one more U.S. Open title to match Chris Evert and Martina Navratilova on the all-time list. Number 1 seeded Novak Djokovic faces number 2 Rafael Nadal in the men's final on Monday. Riddick is number 1 at the box office in its debut weekend. The sci-fi thriller pushed The Butler down to second place in its 4th weekend. The Spanish-language comedy Instructions Not Included is in 3rd place in its 2nd weekend. We're the Millers was 4th, followed by Planes and One Direction, This Is Us. I'm Jim Hawk, NPR News in Washington.
Support for NPR comes...
Hey, St. Paul, the voice of reason here. Wanted to send a quick shout out to our friends at Pacific Northwest Artisans. They're a custom concrete and design fabrication company. They can do all of your concrete needs. They can do pathways, walkways, driveways, you name it. You need a new foundation, you're going to do an add-on, give them a call, 731-9812 or 649-0987. Again, that's 731-9812 or 649-0987. Pacific Northwest Artisans, all of your concrete needs.
As Kitsap County's largest maintenance provider, Team Innovative in Paulsbo provides commercial and residential maintenance to hundreds of millions of dollars of local real estate. With services including parking lot maintenance and street cleaning to landscape and design, Team Innovative is committed to using a green approach and following a strong environmental conscience. Team Innovative Services, 697-6858, or visit them online at getinnovative.net. Team Innovative Services, get serious, get innovative.
Make a difference in your community and volunteer at Kitsap Humane Society. We have opportunities for everyone and need help in all areas of the shelter. You can clean, feed, and help socialize animals, or answer phones, greet customers, and help run special events and fundraisers. KHS volunteers also lead programs including our foster program, canine training, and animal-assisted therapy. If you are interested in volunteering at Kitsap Humane Society, visit our website at kitsap-humane.org.
The Legacy Group in Silverdale is a well-respected independent mortgage banker, absolutely committed to helping Kitsap County families on their path to home ownership. As an employee-owned company, the Legacy Group has a strong stake in your success, and they want to be your lifetime partner in helping you develop a strong real estate portfolio. Call the Legacy Group in Silverdale today at 698-6440 and find out how they can help you get started on the road to home ownership. 698-6440 for the Legacy Group, a lending experience that's a little different and a lot smarter.
Hi, this is Stephen Gardner from the Kitsap Sun. There are 3 things we try to do on the Kitsap Caucus blog. Give you more about the story that didn't fit in the regular piece. Give you the story behind the story. We also try to draw attention to other news you might have missed. And sometimes, I like to poke fun at Port Orchard. Read the Kitsap Caucus blog at thekitsapsun.com.
As Kitsap County's largest maintenance provider, Team Innovative in Paulsbo provides commercial and residential maintenance to hundreds of millions of dollars of local real estate. With services including parking lot maintenance and street cleaning to landscape and design, Team Innovative is committed to using a green approach and following a strong environmental conscience. Team Innovative Services, 697-6858, or visit them online at getinnovative.net. Team Innovative Services, get serious, get innovative.
All right, it's the Outlaw Radio Network moving into hour number 3.
St. Paul, the voice of reason. K-Dog, the occasional loose cannon.
Get into our NFL picks here in just a couple of seconds as we're going to be joined by our special guest picker.
So did you get a chance to watch the Hawks game today? Or were you too busy at church? Is church more important than Seahawks?
Yeah, actually.
Well, I went to the church of the Seahawks today.
I went to church today. I was sneaking peeks at my Android tablet because my Bible's on my tablet, so I get to check ESPN during church.
Are you serious?
Of course.
I know the Bible's like one of the most downloaded apps.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is the most downloaded app. Yeah.
No, it isn't. Angry Birds has more downloads.
It does not. Angry Birds might have more downloads than one specific Bible app, but I think if you took all the Bible apps...
Kevin, I don't know and I don't care. I don't know and I don't care.
Well, you should. You should. It's good for you to know these things.
No, it isn't. That does me no good to know whatsoever.
I'm taking a look right now because I haven't tallied up the results of our stuff for today yet, so I don't know who's winning what yet. But
that's okay.
I will have that in a moment.
It's all right. It's all good. So
I'm not sure who won what games though, but I do know.
I'll tell you, and the scores some of them just completely blew my mind. New England and Buffalo. You see this one?
I know that New England barely won.
23-21 on a last-second field goal.
Yeah.
Cincinnati and Chicago.
Who won that one?
Chicago by 3.
Chicago
Shocked
won
me.
that.
I thought Cincinnati was going to go in there and win. I think I picked Cincy anyway.
So Chicago won?
Yeah,
Nice.
Chicago won. Miami and Cleveland.
Yeah, Miami won that one, right?
I think I picked the Browns, didn't I?
Nope, you picked Miami.
Did I? Thank God.
You did,
I was
yeah.
smart that day. Minnesota and Detroit. This one really did surprise me. I thought Adrian Peterson was going to run all over Detroit. Oh, wait, he did.
Did Minnesota win?
No, Detroit did.
Really? Detroit won? I guess I was wrong about that one.
Adrian Peterson, first play from scrimmage, 78-yard touchdown.
I did see that highlight.
Yeah, pretty impressive.
Did you see the Jets? The Jets won today?
I did. I was getting to that.
The Jets won.
I know, right?
That's not even okay.
Oakland and Indy. Did you see this? Did you see that one?
Indy barely won that game.
Barely won. Squeaker, 21-17. Atlanta and New Orleans. Now, I was watching the end of this game, and
somebody picked New Orleans. This guy.
Yeah, because somebody was a dork and thought that somehow the team with the worst statistical defense in the history of the NFL was going to come back this year and in the first game hold Atlanta to a few enough points to win, and God, if they sure didn't do it.
Yep. New Orleans won, though.
Last play of the game, Atlanta had a chance. Well, there was a few seconds left, but Atlanta had a chance to win it. Tony Gonzalez dropped the ball in the end zone.
Yep.
So
he might need to consider retirement.
23-17 New Orleans over Atlanta. New York Jets and Tampa Bay.
Did you watch that game?
No,
I watched it.
It looked bad.
Can I tell you what happened? Here's what happened.
I saw who won, but what happened?
So here's what happened. Then we'll bring our caller on.
Yeah.
Here's what happened. So Tampa Bay gets a very nice drive to kick a field goal. They're leading with like less than 2 minutes to go. Okay. The Jets get the ball. I think actually less than a minute. And Geno Smith runs out of the pocket, rolls to his right. Mm-hmm. He's still outside of field goal range. He runs out of bounds. As he runs out of bounds, he gets pushed after he runs out of bounds. They call a 15-yard unnecessary roughness penalty, which then moves them into field goal range.
Oh, Lord.
That was the last play of the game before the field goal. The field goal gave the Jets the win.
Wow.
And that was it was because of the 15-yard penalty. So we'll go over some of these other scores here in a couple of minutes, and we'll figure out who has the lead after last week's. And again, thanks to David Olivas from Endgame, last week's guest picker.
Yep.
And we're going to do the guest picker thing every week. But joining us this week as this week's guest picker, I'm so excited. He's never been on the show before.
That's awesome.
It is the one and only sports editor for the Kitsap Sun. It is Nathan Joyce joining us from somewhere at the palatial Nathan Joyce Estates. Nate, thanks for joining us here on the Outlaw Radio Network.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
What's going on? What's popping at the Kitsap Sun Sports Department?
Well, actually, Sundays are a little weird. I actually put the paper together from my house up in the Suquamish area. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now, is putting the finishing touches on the sports section tomorrow.
That is cool, though, that he can do that and so you get to do the whole layout from your computer sitting at home in Suquamish. I love that. That's just great, dude.
Well, actually, I don't do layout. We have our paper is actually just a whole new world here. Our paper is laid out in Texas, believe it or not, and so I kind of get everything ready and get everything set, and then they do the layout down there, and then they print out pages that we can look at up in Bremerton, and then it's we're put together all over the place.
Wow.
Anything big in the paper you want to tease people with so that they know what to look for?
Well, if you want to read about everything you want to know about today's Seahawks win tomorrow, or the papers, what you want to get, because we've got a whole bunch of Seahawks coverage for you tomorrow.
Hey, I'm always really happy to see that you guys got Jim Moore writing for you though too. That's pretty cool that Jim Moore still contributing stuff for you guys.
Yeah, and Jim Moore, well, now that you mentioned it, Jim Moore will be in the paper tomorrow, too. We've got his thoughts on the Seahawks win in the paper tomorrow as well. And online at kidsupsun.com.
Exactly. Outstanding. All right, so you and I talked earlier this week. We've kind of set the role how this is going to go. So we're basically going to go over every game that's coming up for week 2. Now, we still got a couple of games that haven't happened yet that'll take place tomorrow. But we're just going to pick every game on the NFL schedule for week 2, and then we're going to see how you do against us, and then and we're just doing this for fun. We want to see how we do against a professional like you.
Well, I'm pretty confident. I'll show you guys how it's done here.
I like it. See, he's not. He steps it up a notch. Stephen Gardner, on the other hand, he is really reserved and afraid to kind of step out there and just let us know what he thinks.
Yeah, Steve doesn't like to talk smack to us, but.
Well, that's because Steve's a nice guy.
He's something he's like, compared to you, right? You're just okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, Strip, is my soundboard over here hot? Can we get some music going on over here? Let's see here. There we go. All right, so we got music. So here we go. Here's your games. We'll start off with Trojo joining us in studio. What's up, buddy?
What's happening?
All right, hold on. We got to turn up Tro's microphone just a little bit for us so we can hear Tro.
Tro says hi, though, to everybody that's listening.
Tro says hello.
All you happy
there we
people.
go.
There he is. All right. So
he's happy because the Cowboys somehow managed to win.
Did they win? I didn't see the end of that game.
Man,
which is great because I picked them. So
you're not a Cowboy fan, are you, Nate?
Down. I got to get my headphones plugged in here for a sec.
Hey, Nate, you're not a Cowboy fan, are you?
Oh no, I have better taste than that.
Thank God.
I'm not a front runner from the 90s.
All right, outstanding. All right, thank God. All right, so let's do this. Let's pick games really quick. We'll start off with the Thursday night game. They're going to have another Thursday night game this week, and it doesn't sound like an appealing game to begin with at all. The New York Jets, 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 travel to New England to take on the Patriots. I'm going to pick this one first. I'm not an idiot, and his name is Tom Brady. I got the Patriots. Paul?
Well, I would have said that until I saw New England play in Buffalo today, but I'm still going with the Patriots.
You're the Patriots. Trojo?
Patriots.
And Nathan, who do you got?
Yeah, we're going to sweep and take the Patriots. Jets are horrible.
Did you watch that game today, by the way, with Tampa Bay?
No, I didn't.
Saved himself the pain.
I actually watched that game. I was actually surprised that the Jets won that game. The Jets did win.
Yeah, did you see the penalty at the end when he got shoved out of bounds?
Yeah.
Stupid play.
Dumbass.
You and 70,000 screaming New Yorkers.
That's right. All right, Paul, you get to... Hey, Geno Smith starts off the year with a win, though. Paul, you get to pick first on this one.
Right.
St. Louis, the Rams, traveling to Atlanta to take on the Falcons, who were smarted today by the Saints.
Who somehow managed to pull one out to the game against Arizona, and I'm going to go with Atlanta, just because I think they're the better team.
Trojo?
Atlanta.
Nate?
Yeah, definitely Atlanta.
Yeah, we're going for the sweep, then I got Atlanta as well. They're just a much better team. Trojo, you're picking first on this, and this is what I call the crap stain game of the week. The Carolina Panthers traveling to Buffalo to take on the Bills.
You know, actually,
Trojo.
I'm going to say this: if the Carolina Panthers defense played the way they played against Seattle, they stand a chance. They just need to get their offense to click. So I'm actually go with the Panthers in this one.
All right, you got Carolina. Nate?
Yeah, definitely taking Carolina on the road. Their defense looked impressive today, and I'm not ready to buy the Bills for anything yet.
All right, I'm gonna go with the upset. I'm gonna take Buffalo. I think Maroney's Doug Maroney's the new head coach with Buffalo. I think his offense is just a little bit weird, a little bit flaky, and I don't know. I like how they played against New England today. I'm gonna go with the upset and take Buffalo. Paul?
Yeah, Kevin, I'm going to actually mirror you because, quite frankly, Buffalo's going to have a lot of confidence almost beating New England today, and I don't think Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers are going to go to Buffalo with much confidence at all.
All right, here we go. We go to the NFC North for this one. Minnesota traveling to Soldier Field to take on the Bears. Nate, you're up first.
I got to go take the home team, take the Bears. Bears are tough. Vikings, they got the good running back, but I don't believe the quarterback on the road.
Fair enough. You know what? I agree with you completely too. It's at home, so I like Chicago at home. I like their team makeup better. I mean, if it was just, it's like, remember how Chicago used to be, Michael and the Jordanaires? It's like Adrian and the Petersons in Minnesota. Paul?
Yeah, I got to echo those sentiments.
And Tro?
Yeah, I got to go that same direction. Unfortunately, Adrian Peterson, after touching the ball the first time, the very first run he had a 78-yard touchdown scamper to end with only 93 yards rushing in the day.
Yeah.
That's very disappointing.
Not
day.
acceptable.
Yeah, not at all. All right, here we go. Another good game as the Redskins head to Green Bay. I got to pick first for this one. I don't have any idea how to pick this game. Green Bay looked really good at times today in that game with San Fran. They actually had a chance to pull it out and couldn't do it. Meanwhile, I haven't even had a chance to see Washington yet. I'm going to pick Green Bay because it's at home. Paul?
I'm going with Green Bay.
Tro?
Green Bay because I never picked the Redskins.
Because you're a Cowboy fan and you're pathetic for it. Nathan?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I got to go with Green Bay too. They showed that they can stop the run today, and and at home, I gotta go with the Packers.
All right, next one. This one doesn't sound like it'll be good, but I think it'll be a better game than anybody thinks it will be. Miami traveling to Indy to take on the Indianapolis Colts. Paul?
Indy.
You got Indy?
Yeah.
Jojo?
Although Miami's good.
Miami's good, but they're not good. Andrew Luck is still the quarterback right now. Colts.
You got Indy? Nathan?
Yeah, I have to go Colts too, but I don't feel good about either one of them.
Right. I agree with him.
Yeah, I'm going Indy as well. Ryan Tannehill's not going to win 2 games in a row this year. I just can't see it happening. All right, Nathan, you're picking first on this one. Or hold on, who picked first on that one? Was that Paul? Trojo, you're picking first on this one. And it's your Dallas Cowboys, this is a no-brainer.
Yeah, really
they travel to Kansas City to take on Andy Reid, Alex Smith, and the Kansas City Chumps.
If they beat Jacksonville today.
Yeah.
We're number 31. We're number 31. All right. Trojo's picking Dallas. I don't have to ask him. Nathan?
I think I'll pick what's probably going to be a minor upset. I'll go with the Chiefs.
Wow, look at that. That means Trojo gets to double down later on Dallas. I'm going to go with Dallas. They look good tonight. They played well against a good Giants team, Paul.
Well, I think somebody's spending too much time at his computer screen and it's causing some sort of euphoric reaction. I'm going to go with Dallas.
Great. Nathan, Cleveland goes to Baltimore. 2 teams looking for their first win of the season.
Cleveland is perennially bad. Ravens are the Super Bowl champs, so take them at home.
Take Baltimore. I got to agree with him. Everybody thought that Cleveland had a chance to pull off the upset today.
I did.
They looked horrible.
Yeah.
As good as Trent Richardson is, nobody else is any good on that team. Paul?
You're right. Nothing else to say about that. Yeah. Got to go with the Ravens.
All right, Tro?
Got to go with the Ravens. I mean, the Ravens didn't look bad against Denver. They went against Peyton
They didn't
Manning.
look bad? How many touchdowns did Peyton Manning throw?
Wait. They didn't look bad. They just went against Denver.
Yeah. By the way, breaking news, it is Sunday evening. Peyton Manning just threw another touchdown. All right, Tennessee going to Houston to take on the Texans. Now, there's no way that Tennessee's as good as they showed today against Pittsburgh, and they're playing against Houston. Nate, since you're the sports guy and Arian Foster's on literally every single one of my fantasy teams, is Arian Foster going to play this weekend? Do you know?
Yeah, as far as I know, he is. How much he's going to play is the question, but he's going to be playing.
All right, I'm taking Houston then. Houston's just a much better team.
You'd have taken Houston either way.
Probably, because this is Tennessee. And Jake Locker's a Husky, but he throws like Tim Tebow. Paul?
Yeah, Jake Tebow, right?
Jake Tebow. Paul, who are you picking?
Tennessee has no hope.
No? Okay, you got Houston.
It's Houston.
Trojo?
Old Houston versus new Houston.
That's right.
Houston.
And Nathan?
Yeah, Jake Tebow, that's pretty good. I got to go Texans on that, too.
Yeah.
Be sure to use that in an article if you want. Just give us credit.
I will. Yeah.
Paul, San Diego traveling to Philly.
I think it's going to be a good game. I'm actually really looking forward tomorrow night to seeing how Philly comes out with their offense and how they run it. I think San Diego's horrible, though, so I'm going to take Philadelphia. And I have no idea how Philly's going to be this year.
I don't either, man.
I just think San Diego's horrible.
I was listening to ESPN, and they said that the Philly hasn't even done their hurry-up offense at all.
Yeah.
They didn't. They only did a couple of plays in the preseason, so nobody has any way to game plan for that. If I was the Redskins, I'd be a little concerned. You don't have any film. Jojo?
You haven't seen it.
have nothing.
San Diego and Philly?
I actually, it's because of that is the reason I'm gonna go with the upset. I'm gonna go San Diego on this.
You go San Diego?
I'm gonna go San Diego.
Broken clock's right twice a day.
That's right. Nathan? Nathan, who do you got, San Diego or Philly?
I got Philly. I have. I don't believe in San Diego at all this year.
Yeah, I agree with you. And also, it's a short week for them to get ready for Philly, and they don't have any film to go off of. I just think it's going to make it harder for them to prepare. Trojo.
Yeah, short week and a long road trip.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah. And they're going to Philly, so they're not going to feel much love either. Detroit at Arizona, Trojo.
Okay. Detroit at Arizona.
Yeah.
You know, I got to go with Detroit. I'm going to go with Detroit. I watched that Arizona game. They was decent, but Detroit just looked they looked a little good today when I was watching them. So
Yeah? All right.
They kind of look better.
Nathan, Detroit traveling to the Cardinals.
That is a tough one. I think Detroit's offense is enough to score enough points on the road, though. I'm going with the Lions.
All right, I got Detroit as well. I think Calvin Johnson's going to have a monster day. The secondary in Arizona is not that tall. Although I think you need a stepladder to guard him. Paul?
Well, Detroit, by the time they get to Arizona, one thing they're going to need for sure is not gas masks because the air will be crisp and clean down there. I think that... What? I'm not knocking Detroit.
Yeah, you are.
Not at all.
I'm going to call for the little upset here. I'm going to go with Arizona. I thought they looked pretty good today against St. Louis, and if not for a few key plays, Arizona wins that game.
Wow, nice. All right. Nathan, New Orleans traveling to Tampa Bay.
I always go with the Saints. I think they can outscore anybody. And especially if Tampa Bay is going to struggle with the Jets, what are they going to do against Drew Brees?
Exactly.
Yeah, I got to go with that as well. All I can think of is that Drew Brees is just going to pick. I mean, if Geno Smith can beat you, Drew Brees is going to clobber you. Paul?
Well, I will say this. There's no direction for New Orleans defense to go but way the hell up. So we're going to go with New Orleans on this one.
Jojo?
New Orleans. Who's next?
Nolans. All right. Here's another horrible game. This will be one that if I lived in one of these two cities and had to watch it, I would actually consider hanging myself from a shower curtain rod. Jacksonville traveling to Oakland to take on the Raiders. I get to pick this first. Is there a way? Can I push? I'm going to go with Oakland because they have one thing Jacksonville doesn't have, which is Darren McFadden. And I think he's going to eat up
hurt.
Oakland. Is he? What?
He's hurt.
Is he really hurt?
Yeah, he played today, but he was hurt.
If he's playing, they're winning. Paul?
Well, I was going to say that they have something Jacksonville doesn't, and that is a quarterback.
Yes, exactly.
Listen, Terrell Pryor may be the real deal, just not in the NFL. But I will still say he's got enough in the tank to beat Jacksonville.
All right. Trojo?
Because the PB team down the street does.
Trojo?
Yeah, I echo that. I was watching Terrell Pryor today. I mean, the quarterback ran for over. He was the leading rusher.
That's right.
He was the leading rusher in the NFL today.
That's outstanding.
Let's go with Terrell Pryor and the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah. Nathan?
Yeah, I don't think Pryor's got a long career in the NFL, but I think he's got enough to run over the Jacksonville Jaguars.
There you go.
Give me the Raiders.
I can't believe we all picked Oakland to win a game. This might be one of
first.
This might be one of the 7 signs of the apocalypse.
Oh, God.
All right, Paul, you're picking first. Denver heading to New York to take on the Giants.
I think that this is going to be a great game if you're Peyton Manning. This New York turned the ball over, 6 times today?
Yeah.
First play from scrimmage, Eli Manning. Oh, here, defense. Yeah, no, Denver.
Denver. All right, Trojo.
Eli Manning has not beat his brother in the Brother Bowl yet. He's not going to do it this coming Sunday either. Denver.
No. All right.
Peyton's in his head, man.
Nathan?
Yeah, he's got the same rules for Denver as they do for New Orleans. They can outscore anybody. Give me
There
the
you go.
Broncos.
Yeah. I really want to pick New York. I mean, I really want to pick the Giants. part of me just wants to pick the Giants. I'm not an idiot. I'm picking Denver. Trojo. Here we go. San Francisco at Seattle.
Okay.
The Sunday night game.
This.
I will not be into this show until the game is over.
Okay, yeah, that was pretty much the way it was with me.
So here's just to notate how important this show is to some of us. Some of us will be here on time next Sunday.
Go right ahead.
Some of us will be at home.
My ass will be planted watching the game in 3D and barbecuing my slow smoke pork
Can you be here early to co-host with me next week?
I can come in early.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Trojo, who's winning?
I'll bring barbecue.
But I got to tell you, okay. First off, let me just say this. I had my doubts about Colin Kaepernick because I was one of those guys.
It's not Colin. He doesn't shit at it. It's Colin.
Hey. All right.
Hey.
I had my doubts about Colin Kaepernick because really hadn't seen a lot of passing out of him. But after watching that Green Bay game today, as he just stood in the pocket and passed, I just want y'all to understand this kid is for real. And if you don't think he's for real, ask Alex Smith why he got traded. With that in mind, they're playing here in Seattle, right?
Yes, choose your words carefully. Choose them careful.
If they were not playing here in Seattle, I would pick San Francisco. But they're playing here in the toughest place in the NFL to play. I gotta go with Seattle.
All right, fair enough. Hey, Nathan,
he can be taught.
Yeah, the Seahawks are a completely different team at home. And it's another week to get that defensive line healthy, get that pass rush going. And Seahawks defense is a lot different than Green Bay. They're faster, they're physical. I definitely will take Seahawks at home.
All right, I'm gonna pick Seattle at home as well. The thing that impressed me out of this game today was that if you had told me, Marshawn's gonna rush for less than 50 yards and you're still gonna win the game, I'd have told you were a liar. Russell passed for over 300 yards
for the first time in his career.
That is not what you game plan this offense to be. You don't plan for him to be the guy that carries the offense. That's got to give him a lot of confidence coming in against San Fran next week. And if you can get the running game on track, which is going to be really hard to do against a good Niners defense, but if you can get Marshawn on track a little bit and you got a good confident Russell Wilson and then the 12th man going crazy. What happened the last time we played the Niners? What was it, like 42-14 or something? Yeah. I got Seattle.
I don't know, but you can pull that game up for free on YouTube.com.
That's right. Paul?
Anyway, I'm gonna listen. It's very simple for me. Seattle's defense today was out freaking standing. They gave up less than 260 total yards to.
Yeah, but this is Carolina that we played though.
Yeah, but still, Cam Newton is a stud. They won their last 5 games of the year last year, I believe.
Cam Newton,
Steve Smith is still a stud. Their run game did not look all that bad, and I just got to and the defense was freaking stalwart today. That's all I got to say. And I think Colin Kaepernick is going to run into a much stiffer defense. To echo our friends' sentiments, it'll be Seattle.
Hey, Nathan, answer a quick question for me really quick, just from an expert analysis point. Does facing Carolina this week help the Seahawks defense because they had to face a guy that was mobile and can get out of the pocket, and it gives them a little bit of kind of practice, play it in their head a little bit, coming into a week against a guy like Kaepernick?
Yeah, it certainly can't hurt. Of course, Cam's a whole different thing than Kaepernick since Cam is actually the size of 2 Kaepernicks. I mean, the more and plus, they face a running quarterback in practice a lot with Russell Wilson, so they've got plenty of experience facing that, and with the going against the zone read offense as well, since they see that in practice as well. So plenty of experience with a running quarterback.
Outstanding. All right, the last game is the Monday night game. Pittsburgh and Cincy at Cincinnati. Pittsburgh stunned today by Tennessee. Cincinnati stunned by Chicago. Both teams looking for their first win of the year. Nathan, you got first dibs on this one. Congratulations.
Yeah, definitely give me the Bengals. Steelers, I think are definitely in a beginning of rebuilding mode. Bengals are a playoff team this year again. I think give the Bengals at home.
All right, yeah, This game is like a toss-up to me because I don't think either team is going to be great this year. And when it's a toss-up, I tend to think the home field advantage tends to be the tiebreaker. So I'll go with Cincy. Paul,
Cincinnati,
and Tro.
Yeah, I'll go with Cincinnati. I watched some of that Pittsburgh game today too. Pittsburgh looked horrible. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger couldn't stay off the ground. They lost their center for the season. Pittsburgh is a hurting unit this year. Cincinnati all the way in that.
All right, so now we're going to do, and I don't think I told Nathan about this, now we're going to do what's called the double down. What the double down means is I'm going to give the games that we did not agree on.
Which is only a few.
Only a few. We really agreed on a lot of these. I'm going to give the games we did not agree on, and then everybody's got to pick one to double down on. It just basically means you get one more vote in a game that you are going to have a chance to get an extra point on. So here are the games that we did not agree on. Buffalo, Carolina. Let's see. Dallas and Kansas City. Thank you, Nate.
Exactly. Thank you.
Philadelphia, San Diego. Detroit, Arizona. And that's it. Holy cow! This double down could be really huge.
This could be big.
So again, what we've got is again, just to give it to you, Buffalo, Carolina. Dallas, Kansas City. Philadelphia, San Diego. Detroit, Arizona. And that's it. So I will pick first on my double down. My double down will be... I'm going to go with...
Do it.
I'm going to go Detroit. I got Detroit beating Arizona.
That's what I thought he was going to do.
I got Detroit. Paul, who's your double down?
Arizona.
You got Arizona? I don't know if anybody should ever put faith in that quarterback ever again. Jojo?
Hold on one second. I'm about to back up. I got it. I am about to be put in the doghouse by the show, and I know this. But the more I think about this, the more I think about this, the more I think about this. So you're going to get another double down team here.
You're changing a vote on something?
I am.
What? This isn't American Idol. Go ahead. What is it?
I'm picking San Francisco over Seattle.
What?
I got to. They just look too good.
They
look
me, dude.
too damn good today in that Green Bay game.
Paul, do you want to change your double down to Seattle?
Damn straight.
Yeah, do you? Yeah, I'm going with Seattle as well. No, you know what? I'm going to stay with Detroit. I just want to make this week interesting.
You do that. You're not.
No, I am, but we've got so many games that are the same.
Cubs fan, aren't you?
All right, who are you doubling down with, Trojo?
I'm going with Dallas.
Dallas on the double down?
Yep.
You're a whack job, Nathan.
I'm going to double down on Carolina. I think Buffalo had a nice little showing against New England today, but they always play the Patriots tough, and I'm not buying any part of the Bills. So I'll double down on the Panthers.
Fair enough. All right, that concludes this week's picks. And again, Nathan Joyce, sports editor of the Kitsap Sun. Check him out online at kitsapsun.com or pick up a paper and get all the action from today's Seahawk game in tomorrow's edition. Also, the Huskies have a big game coming up against Illinois. That'll all be in the paper as well, right, Nate?
Oh, wait.
Yeah, they got all that. Heck, you could even read it on kitsapsun.com right now.
That's right. Hey, Nate, one question for you about the Huskies, right? What did you think? How did you feel? I was so incredibly impressed and just blown away by their hurry-up offense that they came out running against Boise State. What was your impression of it?
They were fine. I got to say, I was much more impressed with my Eastern Washington Eagles going down and beating Oregon State. But Huskies are cute. Yeah. They're fine.
Listen. I wasn't asking you about Eastern Washington, but since you brought it up, I'm gonna say it for the record. Damn, that was awesome. That was so freaking cool. I just had to say that. Eastern. That was just. I had to double. I'm like, I saw the score flash on the screen. I was like, what? I had to pull up my phone. Eastern Washington. No way!
Yeah,
But you know what? I shouldn't be surprised. They almost beat UW when they played the Huskies. So they got it.
They almost beat UW. They almost beat Washington State, and they did win a national championship.
That's
a
right.
couple years ago. So,
well, listen, I hate to overstate the obvious, but if we all put on pads and jerseys, we could almost beat Washington State. Hey, really quickly, this is a busy time of the year over at the Sun as well because you guys got a lot of high school football stuff going on. Give a plug for that really quick. Give the listeners an idea about how to keep track of what's going on with the high school football scene.
Well, the best thing, we just we're launching a new website just a couple of days ago. Well, actually, I should say we redesigned our high school sports website, prepzone.kitsapsun.com. It looks really cool. Got a lot of new features on it, and for anything you want to know about high school sports, scores, standing stories, our blog, the whole bit's up there at prepzone.kitsapsun.com.
Outstanding.
That's
Nathan,
awesome.
Thanks for taking some time out on a Sunday, man. I'll send you the results and let you know how you did against us.
Sounds good. Anytime, fellas.
Thank you,
thanks,
sir,
man.
very much.
All right.
All right, there goes Nathan Joyce, sports editor of the Kitsap Sun.
Can I say great guest picker, Kev?
Yeah,
great guest picker because he's knowledgeable.
Yeah,
you know, he knows what he's talking about, and I truly appreciate that. We can definitely have these 4-way conversations and discuss stuff and and throw the great little one-liner zingers out there. San Francisco, Tro?
Come on, Tro.
Really?
It's all right.
No, thank you.
He roots for Dallas, man.
Thank you.
He roots for Dallas.
After watching
I picked Dallas
today,
2 weeks in a row because of you.
But I watched that game today, and I just realistically, I just the defense was good for
who?
Seattle, but
good. They were great.
But I'm just also looking at what. Carolina Panthers is not on the level of.
Actually, Carolina is very highly regarded on a national level right now.
Not even on the. Not even.
They are highly regarded right now. Carolina is a highly regarded team. They won the last 5 games of the season last year.
Tro, it doesn't matter. Can I tell you why?
Right.
This is a team. This is a team last year.
Destiny.
That was 3-5 on the road last year. This is a team last year that could not win a 10 a.m. start.
Right.
Okay. This game today, the fact that they won this game today is important.
Yeah.
Okay. When they play at home, they are a much different team.
Sorry, it was Carolina. I'm just
telling you, when they play at home,
I watched it, and San Francisco had a much harder test with Green Bay.
They were playing at home against Green Bay.
And Green Bay's defense is a pittance of what Seattle's is.
It's a pittance, dude. It's horrible.
It's nothing compared to Seattle's defense. In fact, you want to hear this? This is a great article on ESPN.com. You want to hear this? This is great.
Yeah,
this
give
is
it to
football.
me.
There are certain times when preseason games actually are more meaningful than they usually seem. In the case of the Seattle Seahawks, their most recent revelatory moment came in a 40-10 ravaging of the Denver Broncos on August 17th. As much as people celebrate offensive stars such as Russell Wilson and Marshawn Lynch, it was the Seahawks defenders who stood out that game. They were instrumental in the beatdown Seattle delivered that night, and they've got plenty more to do against future opponents. The Seahawks starters forced 2 turnovers, stifled the Broncos' running game, harassed Peyton Manning, and did everything to back up ESPN.com's assessment of their unit. No team produced more talents in this year's rankings of the top 100 defensive players. Do you know how many players were in the top 100 defensive players in the NFL off of Seattle's team?
How many?
8.
8?
8.
Wow.
Pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
Well, listen,
32 teams and 8 players off of one team made the top 100. What's even scarier is that most of those players haven't even reached their prime. We could be looking at a unit that someday rivals the best to ever line up in the NFL.
Yeah.
The headliner of the group, and they go into this blah, 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 blah. What this means is that Seattle finally is getting its just due for how complete this team really is. Most people who follow the NFL knew the Seahawks were talented and blessed with a young, gifted quarterback in Wilson. Sherman, however, was the primary supplier of their star power on defense. As productive as he was in a breakout season when he had 64 tackles, 8 interceptions, and 3 forced fumbles, he made nearly as much noise with his nonstop bluster. I won't go into it. It's a very long article.
It's a long article.
But I will say this, Trojo, when you start thinking about the defense and about how the team played today, remember how different it was in that third preseason game against Denver. Now, you can say it was a preseason, but for that first half, for most of that first half, it was first-team Seahawks offense and first-team Seahawks defense against first-team Denver offense and defense.
Big time.
And not only did Seattle clock them, I mean, they clocked them good.
I'll read you this last little bit. Seattle,
it's preseason. So.
Well, Seattle's defense was so good that it ranked in the top 10 in every major statistical category, including first in points allowed, 15.3. Even though it's only preseason, the unit has continued to showcase its sturdiness. The first-string defense allowed only 1 touchdown in the first 3 preseason contests and only 13 points total. As Lynch said after the Broncos game, these guys aren't playing around when they get out there. It would be wise for the rest of the league to pay attention to that comment. For years, the argument about which team has the best defense has been one reserved for the usual suspects. You had the Baltimore Ravens, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the New York Jets, when Coach Rex Ryan was ramping up his bravado, and more recently, the San Francisco 49ers. Nobody could see the Seahawks pushing their way to the front of this conversation so quickly.
Right, but that's another thing you got to look at. Don't you think that with San Francisco coming in here,
yeah,
they're reading this, they're seeing this, and they're like, "Oh, we didn't win the Super Bowl, but we went to the Super Bowl. We are the second runner-up, We did everything we were supposed to do. We got to where we were supposed to get, yet we're not getting that respect. And the only way we're going to get that respect is we got to beat the team that everybody has already predicted to not only go to the Super Bowl, but win it.
No, they're not. Seattle. Nobody's predicted Seattle to win the Super Bowl.
Even in Vegas. Early predictions today.
As many people on ESPN.com picked San Fran, picked Seattle.
Yeah, and Denver. So listen, all I'm gonna, and I get what you're saying. I don't disagree with you, Tro. Okay, all I'm saying is that the last year when the 49ers came here, we kicked the out of them. I mean, just totally dominated from top to bottom the entire game. This isn't quite the same 49ers team that's coming in. In fact, they've lost their number one receiver from last year. Okay, they've picked up a new receiver in Anquan Bolden.
Anquan Bolden is a damn good pickup.
Well, he's a good receiver, but he's not. What they lost. He's not the speedster anymore. He's just a big receiver now over the middle, and he's with average speed in the NFL. But he's got great hands. And Seattle's defense is uniquely designed to defend teams like San Francisco, which is why they dominated. Listen, you can't put any stock in the first half of Seattle's season last year, wins or losses, simply because the only part of Seattle's team that worked in the first half of last year was the defense. Okay, there was they were solid all year long, but the offense, they had to ramp up and they had to open the playbook week after week a little bit, a few more plays for Russell Wilson, and so by the time you saw what this team really was. It was when they played in what was it, December, I think, against the 49ers here, and they just shellacked them. It wasn't even a contest. So, and all I'm saying is that now you can make the argument, and I get the argument, hey, Seattle didn't get past Atlanta in the playoffs. That's right, they didn't. They went into Atlanta and they lost. Yeah. Now, had San Francisco been playing in Atlanta, I'm not sure San Francisco would have won, but they were in San Francisco and they won.
The better team won on that day.
On that day. Yep, on that day they won. They did win. And so I guess the bottom line for me is really simple in that both of these teams have a lot to prove. It's week 2. They both won their first game. I can't say – you can't really read anything off of the opponents because because again, Cam Newton is a very good quarterback. He plays on a team with an excellent defense, a top 10 defense. Right. And it's the first game of the year right out the gates. Seattle's traveling all the way across country to play a 10 a.m. start.
10 a.m. start, yeah.
You can say Cam Newton is an excellent quarterback. And you got Steve Smith.
And by the way,
throw a couple of more out there. The running back is subpar anymore.
Anyway, so the point here is that
you're just going to hate, dude. Listen, you're just going to hate to hate.
I think so. I'm not. No, really, I'm not. I'm just.
You're mad that people are picking Seattle over Dallas.
No.
You're mad that people think that Seattle is better than Dallas.
You got to remember, I personally sat here last week and stated that Seattle is a better team than Dallas.
No, you did not. Last week, when you made your Super Bowl pick last year, you said that Dallas was going to the Super Bowl.
Right.
And that Dallas was going to win. So by making that pick, you said Dallas was a better team.
Pause. Last week, when we were sitting here making those predictions, only because you start slamming Dallas, did I change my pick and say, just to spite, I'm going to stick with Dallas, and I'm going to run with Dallas.
After 3 turnovers, Dallas only had 3 points off of turnovers, dude.
Come on.
Okay,
just
first
admit
game,
that they're in a down
first
year.
game, but it is.
See, now you're saying first game.
First game.
That's what I said about Seattle, and you're like, oh no.
But let's just face it. The Giants are. Come on, you're gonna sit and tell me that the Giants that the Panthers are on the same level of the Giants?
I'm not going to say anything about anything like that this year yet. You got to get past the first couple of games before you start.
Huh?
Where'd Dallas play today?
They played at home.
At home. Thank you.
It's
place different on the road.
The place where Eli Manning had beat Dallas.
Yeah, but it's
all
still
4 seasons.
It's
New
still
England went to Buffalo and barely won. New England went to Buffalo and barely won. It's different on the road, dude.
It is
different on the road.
Well, something had to give today because the New York Giants that was 4-0 in Dallas new stadium, but Dallas was 6-0 in home openers against the Giants. So. One of them had
something had to give.
Something had to give.
Yep. Amen to that, brother.
I'll make you a deal. You want to put a little bet on this?
What do you want to bet?
How about this?
Wait, what are you betting on?
If Seattle wins next week against San Fran,
here we go.
Whoever's right gets to pick the song, and the loser has to twerk live on the air to that song.
I am not participating
You know what?
in this
that
bet.
song.
Okay, first and foremost,
This is all you two.
So Miley Cyrus twerking right here on the air.
Okay, first off,
right here, right in front of this camera, right twerking, right here.
You make it sound like that's a bad thing for me. You forget who you're talking to.
I'm just telling you, twerking. You got to twerk it right here on that camera.
If it's gonna be a bet, then I'm gonna lose. Can it be something that everybody that know in this
This is
town
great.
know that
This is great. So hold on.
I dance. So
Hold on. First, I just want to make sure that everybody's
Twerk it.
listening understands how devastating this is going to be to me. If one of these guys wins and the other one loses, I'm going to have my choice between Wilson Phillips and freaking Beyonce over here. So, listen, you guys.
All the single ladies. I'm making
no,
country.
I actually have a better bet.
Ooh, what's that?
I actually have a better one because the twerking thing, you know what? That's really not. It would be embarrassing if, let's say, if I win this thing and
he has to twerk.
It would be funny if we had to see you doing that. No, but we've seen that on air before. We've seen that. You've seen me dance.
I haven't twerked. I've given Paul a lap dance. It's not twerking.
I gave a lap dance to Paul on his birthday, blindfolded, and blah blah blah. The people have seen it.
Yes, I mean,
but
chips, by the way.
there is one specific bet that I always bet with people, and I call it peanut butter on your face. There's no money involved.
You're a sick mother. Right?
What?
That's not right.
It's called peanut butter on your face. If I win, I get to take big sandwich full of peanut butter and smear it all over your face. If you win, do the same to me. It's called peanut butter on your face.
You're black. I wouldn't be able to tell where the peanut butter starts and stops. Come on. Come on.
Really?
Come on.
Really? We got drink.
Dude, Kevin.
No, it's a fair point. It's peanut butter. It's brown. He's brown. But what do you want me to say? I'm not being mean about it. I'm just saying it's a statement of fact.
Oh, I think that'd be more funny though.
Anyway, you don't want to twerk. I get it. You're afraid of twerking.
I'm nowhere close to afraid of.
You're
twerking.
afraid of twerking,
dude.
I got it. It's okay. I understand.
25 years ago, I was a stripper. Why the hell would I be afraid of twerking?
You were a stripper.
Yes. Jesus.
I was a stripper. Yes, Jesus.
You made your point. But yes, I did. I was a stripper at one point.
Wow.
It's a nice little part-time job.
We've been advised that we need.
Say it.
We've been advised by a comment sent to the room
Yeah.
that we need closed captioning on this show.
If we could find a way to do that, I would be absolutely. And that's a great point. That is a great point. But I just don't know.
I'm pretty sure we have a lot of deaf people out there that want to read what we're saying.
And a lot of deaf people that want to watch the show.
I thought he said dead people. I was like, that may be the case.
I see dead people.
I see dead people.
Speaking of dead people, hello, mini buyers.
Oh my God!
Hey, we're 8 minutes away from the fourth hour. I just got to hold off for 8 more minutes.
It's not the fourth hour.
The fourth hour of the show is
call.
called The Last Call, but we're 8 minutes away from it.
Lord.
Hey, why don't you guys talk for a second? Let me figure out who won today. Go ahead,
Hail
keep talking.
Mary, full of grace. Hail Mary, full
Hey,
of
you
grace.
know,
Hail
speaking of while you're over there adding the,
Who won Kansas City, Jacksonville? Kansas City won.
Kansas City.
Kansas City.
Okay, thank you. Keep going.
Who
won St. Louis, Atlanta?
You
St. Louis.
Thank you. Go ahead. Keep going.
St. Louis, Atlanta. St. Louis, Arizona.
Arizona, I mean, yeah.
We know who you mean.
I can't believe Paul took Green Bay. You dumbass.
Yeah, right, because they didn't have a chance to win on the last few plays of the game. Yeah. All right, go figure. Listen, go ahead, Tro. You were going to say.
We actually did last year and the year before that. We actually added Washington, the Huskies, and the Cougars.
And the Cougars?
So
Yeah, we did.
Are we going to do that this year? Or
I think Kevin's a little afraid of that. I don't know
Did
why.
the Cougars play this weekend or were they off?
Yeah, they beat USC.
They beat USC.
Wait a minute. The Cougars beat USC this weekend?
Beat USC.
What the hell is going on in the world?
Their offense scored 3 points and they beat USC.
What was the final score of the game?
12. No, 10 to 7.
It was.
Does anybody think Lane
10-7.
Kiffin's going to survive the whole year as USC's head coach when you're losing to Wazoo?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
All right, so here's what I've got. First of all, our guest picker David Olivas from Endgame got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 right. 8 right. Now there's still two games left.
Tomorrow.
Oh, actually, hold on. I got to include into this the double downs. So hold on. Not that double downs matter for most of you. Stupid people.
Stupid people.
All right. So he has 8 with 2 games remaining.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Trey, who's not here tonight, I'm going to have to solicit his picks by email. But Trey has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the double down, which gives him 9. He did very bad on the late games. He was doing really good in the morning, then bottomed out in the late games. Trojo has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the double down gives him 9. Paul has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and no double down. So he has 8. Yours truly, because I'm rocking it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
I promise you be changing your picks.
11.
Man, I promise you did not pick that
hold
many
on.
games last week.
You know what? You can take a look at the because the intern is keeping track of what I picked, and she has the list.
Intern, and
I'm banging the intern. I'm banging the intern. So I have 11 right and the double down, which is 12.
That is not happening.
I don't know. No. I mean, hey, I don't know.
Can I just point out
who won last year?
There was something
this
going
guy.
on. No, hold on. There was something going on because she made this post on Facebook early in the week. Says I'm effing done. Right? And Kevin promptly came back and
That
said,
had to do with something personal. It didn't have to do with
it don't matter. I'm telling the story here, darling.
Really?
And so Kevin came back promptly and said, "Yeah, baby, I'm not done." And she said, "I know you're not, Kevin."
Do you know why? Do you know why I posted that? Because I was hoping she was going to say. She was going to say, "What do you mean, Kevin?" And I was going to say something like, "I'm not done until I get my nut." But she didn't reply back, so I couldn't give a response.
I knew you were going to say something like that too.
I know. That's why you didn't do it. Exactly. All right. So anyway, as we wrap up now, listen, it's still wide open because we still got two more games.
First week of the season.
No, I'm talking about for this week, for the first week.
Somebody's declaring himself a freaking winner.
Hold on. There's no way anybody will beat me on week 1 because there's only 2 games left. People can cut the lead, but I've got 12, and the next closest are Trey and Trojo with 9.
Hold on. What are the games tomorrow night? Is Philly
Washington
and Washington.
Washington and Houston.
And I took
you took Philly and Houston.
Philly and Houston.
I don't know why you would take Philly. You're such an idiot.
Because I don't know how they're going to do, and neither do you.
But all right, fair enough. All right, so
actually, I think I picked Philly in that game too because I never choose. No, I actually did pick Washington because Philly just sucked, man.
All right, so those are done, and we're good to go. So we have break coming up here in a couple of minutes. Top of the hour news, and then after the news, we'll get into hey, Strip. Can we just kill the news? We don't need to do the news, do we? For the last call, we can just screw off the news, right? We don't need to do the news at the top of the hour, do we? We can just screw off the news, right? And just get right into the last call. I've got topics.
There's a shocker.
I have topics, and I am ready to go.
You can screw off all you want.
You're still taking that break. We got to pay the bills.
We'll take the break. Let's just not do the news. So we can get back into this quick. I'm ready to go. I am excited and ready to go.
Yeah.
By the way, who's the homeless guy looking in the window at us?
Oh, the same one who fucked up the tires on my truck, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good to see that Sean's here. All right. So anything you want to say as we wrap up the last couple of minutes of this show before we get into the last
I just want to know if he really screwed up the tires on my truck. Where'd he go? Oh, now he left. Oh, that's funny. You call him on the carpet about it, and then he takes off.
No, actually, I broke the rake when I was filling in the potholes in your driveway.
What rake?
A little cheap-ass metal one, and it broke off, and one of the brackets fell off. It had a screw in it, and, well, your wife wasn't paying attention and ran it over. So.
Okay, yeah.
It's your wife's fault.
That's good. That's good, because I was the one driving the truck.
It's called deflecting.
I was driving the truck. Brand new freaking $2,000 set of tires.
I could have got it for $4,000.
So let me give you an idea what we're going to talk about in the fourth hour.
Yeah.
And during the last call.
During the last call.
Okay. Here's what we're going to talk about during the last call. One thing we're going to talk about
today.
Hey, Strip, another listener has requested that we have just a sound bar option without the video. Because
Yeah,
the video
I know
will
what
work.
you're talking about. I'm actually looking at it right now.
You see the same message I see?
Yeah,
Okay,
and
just
I'm
tell
sending
me.
a message back to let them know that there is a feed specific for phones only.
Okay, fair.
And
That's the beta.
It is working, yes.
It is working.
It's a
It is
beta.
working. Okay,
so
fair
if you're looking at the screen, if you scroll down right below the video player,
It says-
it says that there's a beta specifically for phones.
For the
if you
mobile.
Just click on that. It may or may not work. I can't guarantee it. It is a beta.
It's a beta. It's a beta.
It's a beta.
It may not work.
And no, we don't have an audio only feed because it still won't work.
Durka jihad.
There you go.
All right.
Dude, you can't say that.
I can say that. Well, say whatever I want to.
People get
My
upset
show.
about that, man.
All right. In the next hour, here's what we're talking about. There is a story about a guy and a girl that had sex every single day for a year. We're going to discuss the ramifications
That'd
of that.
be like eating pizza every day for a year. After a while, you get sick of the flavor.
We're gonna discuss the ramifications of that when we come back out of break. Also, we're gonna discuss what happens when you're a man and your woman convinces you to go vegan, and why that's never a good idea. We'll discuss that. The other question I have, what? It's bad. It's bad juju.
That's bad.
Yeah, it's bad juju.
I know a friend of mine that said they was going to go vegan. I mean,
I got a friend that said he's going to go vegan too, and I just want to kick his ass.
I think the other topic should be why certain women think that they always have to butt in and get into your business.
Women are horrible about that.
Yeah.
The other thing we're going to talk about is how much pull does your partner have in what you're able to do appearance wise, and I'm going to use an example from St. Paul's life when we get back from break.
welcome to the good life.
That's right.
I guess that means you want to take a break now?
Yeah, let's go and take a break now. It's 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I know.
Let's take a break then. All right, that concludes the Outlaw Radio Network. The Outlaw Radio Network's last call is next. If you have a topic, if you want to call in, 253-617-1440. As always, we'll give you love and relationship advice. In fact, I have also a request for relationship advice from Desi. We're going to answer that letter after the break as well.
That can't go well.
Stay tuned. The last call is next on EdgeMediaSource.com.
The Outlaw Radio Network.
Hey, St. Paul, the voice of reason here. Wanted to send a quick shout out to our friends at Pacific Northwest Artisans. They're a custom concrete and design fabrication company. They can do all of your concrete needs. They can do pathways, walkways, driveways, you name it. You need a new foundation, you're going to do an add-on, give them a call, 731-9812 or 649-0987. Again, that's 731-9812 or 649-0987. Pacific Northwest Artisans, all of your concrete needs.
As Kitsap County's largest maintenance provider,